please don't hear any of this, Brad.
And Dad's like, I got the fuck out of there. I was like, oh man, you didn't partake?
Do you fear death?
Oh, one of the greatest lines of all time.
I've got a job to it. I've got a job to it.
Trumpinator 2020.
Making me 30 sides of red sauce.
Listened to so much. Are you
That needs two, motherfucker.
Episode 78, ladies. Thank you for coming on. Thanks for you guys sparking all this. It's kind of a cool deal with. So how'd this all go down?
So I was friends with Sheila. I worked with Sheila at the hotel.
No kidding.
And so we had been Facebook friends. Like, we weren't like hanging out friends, but like friends. We talked all the time on Facebook. And so I remember when Nicole started the podcast and Sheila was always pushing it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, I never listened. And so then a friend of mine that I work with, she's like, oh my gosh, I started listening to this podcast and she's talking about prison. And like, she's telling me the stuff that Nicole's saying. And I'm like, yeah, my friend Sheila's on there, you know, and still I was like, and then right after that's when Sheila passed.
Nice.
And so I was like, I'm listening now. And so I started listening to Nicole. And then of course you're on there. Jason comes on there and I'm like, oh shit.
But she kept telling me.
And I was telling Mom, like, listening to Nicole's stories, I was like, you
this lady
because Nicole's stories about Cupcake Prison, like,
right.
And then Club West.
And then Club West, like, all this stuff that she's talking about, I'm like, oh my gosh, her and my mom.
Oh, yeah. They've got some good chemistry.
And then Mom and Sarah saw Jason and she's telling me, we saw Jason. I'm like, that's who you need to talk to about getting on.
He was on like a week later.
Yeah, because like I was listening. Of course, this was December.
Yeah.
That I was listening, and so like and then it was like a week later that they saw you, and so
it's meant to be.
It's really cool though. So, like there's this community building that Nicole and I have very different styles, very different, but we we very we love each other. We have the same kind of spirit, But it's really been bringing people together, and that's just a beautiful thing.
And the older you get, the more you realize how small the world is.
Yeah, right.
That,
nice shirt, by the way.
Yes, representing.
Repping some felonious merch. We got a felon in the house, so
that's right. Yes.
So that's fantastic. Yes. She's doing great things.
I'm pardoned felon now.
Pardoned felon. That's awesome.
Right.
No,
25 years to the day almost. The day after would have been 25 years to the day.
Beautiful.
That I got sent to prison. I was pardoned. So
that's awesome. I listened to your entire podcast. Very good chemistry you ladies had. I thought it was a good time, and in saying that,
and went very fast. It went.
Oh yeah, hers go fast. Yeah, hers goes fast.
Well, no, and that episode was an hour and 42 minutes.
It was a long one.
It was a
for
long
hers.
one.
Yeah, hers are normally like an hour.
Hers are usually pretty tight.
She kept writing notes over to the side, and then she said, "Okay, let's get back to this now."
So, are y'all going to do a regular?
Yes, thing? She said once a month. She's like, "I'd like to have you once a month." I'm there.
That's funny. And after listening to that, I made you this pledge that I will not touch your cigarettes or your pussy.
Okay. Yes.
I think that's a reasonable ask, Jason. I mean, that's
her only. That's her only.
She seemed very.
It's always been her rule.
It's all out. Other than that.
I mean, that's what's going on.
That was in prison. That was the rule in prison.
No, I get. I think that's a good rule.
You have to lay something down.
I mean, you don't have to.
But whenever I first got there, I thought, I was very scared. That was...
How old were you when you went in?
34, 35.
You're still young.
Yes.
You're scared shitless.
Oh, yeah. I had never been to jail. I'd been to jail when I was 16 for running away. My mother let me sit overnight in jail.
Okay.
And then when she
so
picked me
you're
up
married
the
at
next
the time?
day... No.
You have kids?
When she was in prison?
Yeah,
she was married.
Yes.
And I was 15.
And you were
15.
But
at 16, the first time I went to jail. Yeah. I never.
Okay.
So
after
after
that,
after that, it was like Mom said, "Is that the way you want to live your life?
Right.
That's the consequences that you have right there." And I was like, "Hell no!" So I avoided it. Not that I didn't do things I shouldn't have gone to prison for.
Yeah.
So when I got busted, I hated meth. I hated it.
Yeah.
But that's what everybody was doing, and I was with a guy at the time that's what her dad that he did, and so that was the deal. We fought whether we had it. We fought when we didn't have it. It was
Right.
like, you're mad because I don't have it. You're mad because I do. So it was just, and so I just got out of it.
Having never done it, like, what is the appeal?
Oh, I don't know.
It's super fun.
She
it?
Think
she
when
can
you
tell you
stop,
that because she
it's
liked
probably-
it. I didn't like
She
it.
didn't like it.
What is
Cocaine, I
it?
couldn't.
Yeah, I heard you saying you liked it.
Yeah, I
but
couldn't.
what
It's
is
just,
it?
it's an upper. It makes you happy until you're not.
Until,
And see,
but you
Until-
don't want to do it.
Until it
you-
turns
yes.
dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until it turns dark, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
that's too
and
much
it very
for me.
easily goes dark.
And see,
So-
I'm happy to begin with, where I need something to come down.
Yeah, I'm a
'cause
downer person
I'm up
too.
here, to where I
Yeah.
need something.
Are
to
you're
relax
clean
me.
now?
Yes.
Like completely, right?
Yes.
How long?
Oh, 25.
I remember you telling in that episode.
Oh, well,
about,
no. I smoked pot after I got out of prison, and I smoked. Oh well, okay. Her dad.
Well, and even before that, it's probably been 20.
I got off
22.
parole. I was off parole, but I didn't
It's
do
been over
it.
20 years.
Yeah.
Easy.
Oh yeah.
As I say, you've been at Walmart 25 years.
Yes. Yeah.
now. So-
But I used somebody. Well,
My dad did doser one time. Put it in
Yes.
coffee.
yes,
That was a bad deal.
yes.
But
Yeah,
All
that's-
week.
That's no good.
some badass
No.
coffee.
Wait,
Oh, no,
all
that's
week? What
she
do you
All
was-
week
mean?
long.
It was, yeah, she
Yes.
was doing things all week, and that's
I
when
had
came
let him
over,
come
she's
and
like-
live at my house. I gave him a place to stay, and that's how he thanks me, was putting dope in my coffee, because he was making my coffee being nice, wanted to suck up and get back together, which there was no chance of.
Hold on. So this is after a divorce.
After divorce.
Okay. And
Yes.
so now he's trying to get you back. And he's
Yes.
dosing you up.
Yes.
Yo.
Yeah. In the morning, he would give it to me, and so I worked
Hell.
Sunday through Wednesday. And I told her she
Surely
came
you know
by
this is
on
the first
Saturday.
time.
No, I was thinking, oh my God,
all
I
week
feel
long.
like I'm
And I
drinking.
told her
Badass
one time,
coffee.
and all of her shit is out in the yard.
Yes.
And I'm like, what is happening? And she's like, I'm cleaning. I'm like,
She,
okay.
she said, I would swear I said, I would swear I was doing dope.
said your dad's
I
too
know,
stingy.
I'm not.
I'm just drinking
and
coffee.
your dad, no, but I never thought
Right.
that he
right.
would put it in my coffee
Okay.
and not let me know.
So you felt weird, but
I
you
felt,
didn't.
yes.
You were
but
like,
I
no,
didn't,
surely not.
Yes.
He wouldn't
yeah,
do this.
I never crossed my
It
mind.
wasn't enough for her
Never.
to know, for sure.
And that Saturday night, I was sitting plucking my eyebrows, getting ready to go to work on Sunday, and he's standing in the doorway, cocky, and he said, "Oh, you're tweaking, aren't you?" And I said, "No. Why would you say that?" He's like, "You're picking at yourself." And I said, "I'm plucking my eyebrows. Why would you say I'm tweaking?" He's like, "I've been putting shit in your coffee all week long. You've been doing dope." Oh. I wanted to go back to prison at that moment. Because I always told him, I could have killed you. I should have killed you. Because I would have got less time. I would have only served 10 months and been out. And he
When
would
she
still
got
be
out, That's
dead.
what she told my first boyfriend. She's like, I've been to prison and I'm not afraid to go back, and I'm only going back for money.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
There will be bodies in my wake. I will not go back for any stupid shit.
How old are you when they got divorced?
I was in my 20s when they got
Yeah,
divorced.
Oh,
so you're already grown.
Yeah,
Yeah,
25.
she had Dylan.
Yeah, Dylan was
Okay.
2 or 3 years old.
What was your relationship?
She's our age.
Okay.
I'm older than y'all.
A little bit older.
What year are you born?
70.
Oh, yeah, just a
So
little
yeah,
bit.
oh, just a couple years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was a later in life
43.
divorce.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm just trying to get some context.
With
okay.
her bio,
He's-
it was
yeah.
like,
Because this guy's not my biological
No.
dad.
Okay.
This is the guy that raised me. This,
Gotcha,
When,
I
when
gotcha.
we say dad, that's
The
the guy that
Daryl?
raised me. Daryl,
Okay.
yes.
Daryl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
What
Daryl.
was
Yeah.
your
Oh,
relationship
Daryl.
with Daryl like?
Oh, wonderful.
It was good.
Wonderful.
Okay.
I mean,
He
it
wasn't
was-
tweaking your coffee?
We were doing it together.
no, they
at
were
that
over at the
point.
apartment. That's why I
So,
left.
yeah. I was still using it at
Yeah.
that point. So.
Yeah, she had a boyfriend that was going to California and bringing out backpacks, and Daryl
Okay.
was like, "Oh, you are my friend." We lived out on the mountain in West Fort, Strickler.
Yeah.
It was on Malaco Mountain. It was up on top.
Beautiful space out there.
I would come home it was dark, and I don't usually go out at dark, but I was ready to get out of there. And whenever I come around the corner, it was lit up like Christmas. There
Right.
were probably 5 to 7 cars in the yard of various jacked up,
Oh, yeah.
hood up, trunk, Crackville.
I know the place well. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, I got to get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Got to get out of here. And I did.
What was your childhood like? What year were you
She's a
born?
Cali
I was
girl.
born in 1959
In California?
in California.
Okay.
Los Angeles County General. I guess we were poor because
Okay.
it was a free hospital. Is what
Right.
now that I'm older and look back and go,
Yeah, yeah.
Because my dad always said, "You were the only white kid in the hospital." That's how I knew you were mine.
Huh.
And
No
because
shit.
it was Los Angeles County,
Yeah.
General Hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister and I both were born there. My older sister, she was born here. My mom had 2 kids. My dad had 1, and then they had 4
Okay.
together, 4 of us girls. And I was 3rd. I was the baby for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the baby come along, I was kind of shuffled to the side.
Right.
And we don't need Peg no more,
Right.
other than just to torment. I was there. My 2 older sisters, I was their picker. Let's see how. And I was a big baby. I was, crier.
Yeah.
And so I'd get them. They'd hit me, and I'd wait a minute, and then I'd run, and then I'd start crying. They hit me on my arm, or they hit me in my head. Because Mom, that was one thing. Don't hit her in her head unless she was doing the hitting in my head.
Yeah, yeah.
Anybody
That's a reasonable
else?
ask.
Yeah, anybody else? Oh, don't smack them in the head.
Yeah.
But then she would give you a good. But her and I didn't get along. Because I stood up after I figured that I could. When I knew I had a voice and I had a backbone, then I was like, oh, hell no, I'm not doing this no more.
Do you think that kind of way of raising you kind of made you that way to where you
Yes.
had to stand up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was
Kind of forced you.
I was,
I'm either
right,
going to deal
I was
with
being
this shit.
pushed behind. Right.
Or
I
I'm
was-
going to fight back.
right.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think she really. I don't think my mom really wanted kids, yet she had 6 of us.
Yeah. That's a
She likes doing the thing to get kids.
She kept going in the bedroom.
somebody who doesn't
She
want
just
kids having sex is
She really likes the sex. But
yeah, right.
Son of a bitch. Yeah.
And back then, they didn't have all of the things we have
Yeah.
nowadays.
If you
so-
fucked, there were consequences.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that's why she had 2 kids by 2 different men when my dad met her, And that's what my dad always said, because she worked in the bar down Cold Hill. And that's what he said. That's
Man,
why
I
I
couldn't
married
have
you. Because you worked at Jim Jack's down there. And he said the beer was free. He said, hell, after I married you, you quit and got pregnant. So, but that's, she was quite a wild woman. But I got to spend the last 3 years of her life with her. And I wouldn't trade that for
Really?
old gold.
So it was
China.
good?
Oh,
at
yes.
That, at that moment?
Yes.
Okay.
When my sister passed, and my mother and I.
Hey, it's good. It's good. We're all friends here. We're talking about it.
no, so the baby,
Yeah.
the baby sister passed away,
Yeah.
and it came to light that one of the other sisters was not doing my grandmother right. So then that's when Mom took over, and so she was the one that took care of Grandma then, because the sister that was not doing good was the
Financially.
one that always
Yeah.
took care of Grandma.
I didn't take
So-
care of my mother financially.
No, she.
I
her
had
own-
to. When my youngest sister died, we went to my mother's house the next day, and all of us were there. My sister Marcia, Becky, Archie, and we were all sitting, and my mother, and we were sitting at her dining room table, and she said, "I have life insurance on Judy," and I said, "You do?" And she said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, do you have it on me?" And she's like, "No." And I said, "Well, why not? I was the sure bet. I was the drug addict. You should have a policy on me. Why? I'm kind of jealous now." And she said, "Well, my sister had 2 children, and she said their fathers wouldn't come get them if she were something to happen to her. And she was very sickly. She liked being sick. She loved going to the doctor."
Yeah. Yeah, I know the type well.
Yeah. So she was, and so Mom said, I was worried that I would have to take care of the kids if something happened to Judy. And she said the other girls, the rest of us, she knew their dads would come and take them, and she wouldn't have the burden. And I said, "Well, how much life insurance you got?" And I was thinking, 25, 50,000. She said, 100,000. Like, whoa, shit. And I was like, and she had been so worried about paying her house off and her bills. She was so mad at my dad that, you know, he died and left the house in shambles and blah, blah, blah. You know, you just heard that for 14 years or so, you know, so many years that you heard her bitch about, you know, all that. Well, then her house catches fire. She gets a new house.
Well, that's kind of, just to pause it there for a second, it's kind of sad to hold on to that kind of, like, resentment for that long. You know what I mean? Because I did it. I held on to shit for long. It's poisonous.
Oh, yeah.
And until you can let go of that, you cannot move forward as a human being.
Yes.
It's really, it's pretty sad.
That's where my sister's at now.
It's
very sad.
It is.
I pray for her. I pray
it's
for her, and that's all.
But you can't help them.
No,
They can only help themselves.
And that's whenever my mom got the check, I took her. You know, my sister started acting weird at the table. You know, and getting up, and she's pointing her to her ass. I don't know why she pointed to her ass at me as she walked by. Like, you're gonna have to kiss this. Was the way I took it.
Okay.
And that was pretty much how she managed it. You know, I'm in charge. Because when I took my mother up to, because that's what I said, now you can pay your house off, and we were going on. And so I told my mom, I said, don't let Becky take you to Larry Biddle's office. Mm-hmm. Do not. And so when my mom and I were together, she started saying random shit about Becky and things of her bills and the mortgages and things that were taken out on the house. I don't know. I don't care. It's none of my business. That's between Becky and her. That 20 years, my dad died in 1994.
Okay.
I went to prison January of 95. When I took my mother up to the revenue office to do the deed to her house, it was in my sister's name.
Really?
And it had been in my sister's name since January of 95. So as my mother is mourning the death of my father, my sister is fucking her. Sign this, sign this, sign this.
Yeah.
And
So
Grandma was
then
blind.
my mother is blind.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
I've seen this happen.
So,
It
yeah.
happens a lot.
But I left them at 18.
Yeah.
And I didn't really come back.
Right.
I moved back here when I divorced her bio because I was afraid he would take her away from me because I was doing things I shouldn't.
Well, how long were you in California?
All my life until I was 26.
Okay.
Till I divorced her bio.
Okay. So,
My parents moved from there. That's why I married her dad, is because my mom and
That's how
dad
I'm here.
were moving because my cousin had Lake Weddington.
okay.
Charlie,
That's what I was going to ask.
Agee.
How'd you end up in this area?
Charlie
So,
Agee had Lake Weddington as
Okay.
a lease.
Nice.
And
Which
he
me and
told
Mom
my
Papa
dad,
were from Clarksville, Ozarks,
yes.
down that way. Anyway.
and my grandmother worked at the university, you know. So we had roots here. And so Charlie had offered my dad the lease if he retired and come and run Lake Weddington.
Okay.
And so they did. And so I was like, fuck that. I'm not moving to Arkansas. I've been back here on vacation. And
How often had you been here?
Every year. We would
So
come
you knew it
every-
well. It wasn't just like
In the drive.
Until I was 17.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
had to
Back
be
of the station
The drive's
wagon.
the worst. It had to be the
With
worst.
3 girls touching, don't touch. Oh, she's touching me.
Did you like it here?
No. It was very backwards because we would get
Yeah, they grew up in California.
we would get tennis shoes, new like kids, to come back here because they would take us to Savoy.
Yeah.
That was the big swimming hole back
Yeah.
then. And it was fucking dirt road to get there from my grandma's up on
Yeah.
Certainly.
Leverett.
Garland.
Garland. So we'd come out, and 16 was even fucking dirt road.
Oh, man.
You'd turn and go
Yeah.
down
You
Mount
remember that?
Comfort,
I remember when there was
dirt
just
road,
one
dirt road.
house.
Oh my God! And
Where
hear my
JJ's.
grandpa bitch about all. Pretty soon there'll be houses.
Holy shit.
Because
Yeah.
my uncle,
see it now.
To have
yes,
that
my
land
uncle
then.
bought a house when they first did Mount Comfort. That first row of
man.
my uncle. And so once you got past my uncle's house, there's where my grandpa. Pretty soon you just see nothing but houses. So yeah, he's out at Mount Comfort Cemetery rolling in his grave.
Man, I tell you what,
There's
it's
millions of houses over
Yeah.
there.
It's really sad though.
Seems like anyways.
You know, the death of rural America and small town
yes,
America, the
yes.
small towns, the small communities, and
That's why I like Westport.
Yeah, West Fork hadn't been quite Farmingtonized yet.
But
They
they're
won't.
township.
You don't think they
They
will?
They will
won't
Really?
let
never.
people in.
No, they won't never change
Really?
it from
They
a
will
township.
not. No.
Thank you, West Fork.
Yeah, they
Yes.
won't let- whenever the interstate came through,
Uh-huh.
it killed anything West Fork had going on, and they
Yeah.
will not let.
But they're
Like
not a
they're-
I'm
city.
surprised they let that harps in.
We are
I
not
didn't
a
realize
city.
that they weren't a
too.
city.
Like,
We
it-
are
'cause
a
it shut
If it
town.
wasn't by the
down
fucking bypass, they
It
probably
shut
wouldn't.
down the little neighborhood
Yeah.
grocery when they
The-
put that
what
in.
was the-
So,
But that-
but the schools, like, that's what suffers is schools and stuff.
Yes.
Because, yeah, like, I graduated from there and it hasn't gone.
What year did you graduate? You say
97.
97. Okay.
What was the grocery store down there?
Did you
Superfoods.
From what? So you know
Superfoods
Josh Bostick and
The name's
Piggly
not familiar.
Wiggly.
Piggly
Back in the
Wiggly.
day.
Emma?
Yes.
Emma,
yeah, you know Emma.
her older sister was a year above me.
Yeah, so you know Beyondies and like all that. Matt
Yep.
Brandenburg, you know him.
That sounds familiar,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Because
So-
I know a lot of West Fork folks.
Yeah.
So you end up down here when you're 26.
Yes.
And you move here. What's that like?
I had to move in with my parents,
Okay.
and we were there.
Keep talking.
I
I'll
got-
shut this
Very long.
rattling.
I got
off.
a job at Tyson Mexican Original, the corn. I worked
The
in the
chips?
flour. Yeah, I worked in the flour one day, and Jerry Berry was the supervisor, and I had to pick up dough balls in the back where they was doing the hot plate. There was grease dripping down. They were making me, and the guys that work back there pinging you with dough balls, you know, so you batten them. And so lunchtime, I went over to Jerry Berry and I was like, "Look, if that's the fucking job you got for me, I don't need a job. Bad, I'm out of here." So he put me in the front package. And,
Uh-huh.
But then the next time I went over to the corn, and I got to stay there for. I was there a little over a year, I think, that I worked there.
It wasn't very long.
It was a little over a
Long
year.
enough to meet Lee.
Yeah, I got with Lee, and then I.
Moved out of Mamos.
So you've been
Yes.
in Arkansas since around 85 or so.
Yep.
Yes.
Based on my
Yes.
math, right?
She was in kindergarten.
I was in kindergarten.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you've had kind of the same journey. I mean, I was young, obviously at the time. What do you miss the most about this area in 1985? It's changed so much; it's almost unrecognizable.
Yeah. Just the growth is just too much for Bedville. They're
Yeah, we don't have the infrastructure,
No.
obviously.
No.
But
No.
this started happening in the 90s, wouldn't you say? I mean, when South Winds went in and all that stuff. It's like mid 90s is when I started really noticing like this is going nuts. I mean, because Farmington was
Right.
cow pasture. I mean, that's
Yeah.
all it was.
Right.
Yes.
You know, with a school popped in there and a gas station, and you know now obviously you know what it is now. But I mean, mostly, I mean,
Even my husband and I moved to Farmington in 2012. And just since then,
oh yeah,
it
yeah.
has
Doubled.
like doubled.
Yeah.
Like it is
It's not slowing
amazing.
down.
I actually saw an article in the
What's
paper
population?
about
10,000?
it, and it was comparing the populations of Farmington, Prairie Grove, and Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
And like Lincoln used to be bigger than Farmington at one point, like bigger than Prairie Grove even.
Really?
And yeah, and it
It's
showed
not
the
now.
But Lincoln was
decline
quite
where,
the town.
yes.
Well, Lincoln was the first thing, you know, when you came into Arkansas.
And you had
from
the
west.
Lincoln Stomp.
So-
They had the Lincoln
Yeah, I
Stomp
can
out
remember
there
there was
every
like a
Saturday
honky tonk on the
night.
I don't know
square.
about
On the
I
square.
know about the Lincoln Stop, but I know about the Apple, all the
Dude, the
Apple.
Apple
Yes.
Festival
See,
shit.
I can
Yes.
remember my Aunt Judy taking me to it was some honky tonk on the square. Like,
Yes.
I was like 6, 7 years old
Wow.
and
It's like a
two-stepping around.
VFW
and it's
type
the,
of thing.
Did
Yeah.
you do
It's every
whatever the
Saturday.
building
Square
is. No, I never square danced.
You didn't square dance.
No,
okay.
my daughter did, but I didn't.
Okay.
But no,
I remember that was a huge thing.
Oh, yeah.
with
Hell
all
yeah.
that. What's the one in
Yes.
Prairie Grove, the Battlefield one?
that's where Aspen.
Yes,
Square
clothesline.
Dance is.
The
Clothesline
Yes.
fair. Yeah.
Oh, it's a huge deal.
Yes.
Is it still?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh
No deal.
yes. 2 days they do it. What is it? Saturday and
hottest
Monday.
fucking-
I think
and
it's
the
abuse. Those
hottest.
children out there and
It
the
is
They
the
love it though.
It's
Dude,
literally
children are
the
fucking
hottest fucking time of the
Listen,
day.
my
Yeah,
kid
they
doesn't
are.
want to do anything but square dancing. She loved square dancing. So
But see, I like to dance. I would probably like that too.
It's a. You know what were you saying?
That's what I was saying. I mean, like my nephew's done that. So like it is literally the hottest fucking time of the year.
Yes.
Like, it is 100% like
And they
that.
do it at the hottest time of the day,
It's
too.
so yeah.
It's all day, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
They have to go
Yeah.
through the
and
edges
everything else is in the shade except for that fucking pavilion. It's like, wow, you know.
and where you have to sit to
Yes,
watch it.
and it's. I mean, you just sit there sweating, you know. And people are like taking pictures. I'm like, "Fuck you, man!" I'm like dying over here. But yeah, and then they have to dance. God, I
Yes.
can't imagine.
Yes.
But what a weird, like, square dancing only exists at craft fairs, it seems like.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, where else? Like,
Well,
no-
they talk about that over there. That's one of the only places that still does it.
Oh, is that right?
At Westfest, they've been
But
the
it's
last few
because-
Man, I haven't
years.
been there
They'll
But
bring
that's
like
only because a lot of the West Fork kids are square dancing over at the
West
Westfest
Fest.
Fair.
Really?
Okay.
They're kind of
So yeah, they
that's-
just bring it over
Yeah.
to the West
because
Fest
I know
too,
there's a few of them that'll
because
come
it's
over
the same
there and
time
they
of year.
dance.
So
you know,
yeah.
So
God, I haven't been to
yeah.
Westfest forever. Or what's
There's Westfest, there's Windfest.
Windfest? That's what I-
Winfest is the music
Yeah.
down in
Windfest is
Winslow.
music, yeah.
That's the first time I ever
And all
had
the
beer.
hippies.
Was at Windfest.
First time you ever had beer?
Bear.
Oh, bear.
Bear
Yeah.
meat.
Oh, bear.
Smoked bear.
Really?
And I'm like, oh, this is gonna taste like fucking dog. And man, it was good.
Really?
Is it
It was
greasy?
really good. I thought
I've
it
heard
was.
it's greasy.
It was
Fatty?
real. It was smoked, and so it was
Okay.
smoked like a long
So it's
time.
probably
So a lot of
dehydrated,
fat.
a lot of
Right.
fat.
was
The
like-
fat
but it
broke
was just
down.
so like what I thought it was going to be like was totally, you know, because I'm not a big gamey. I'm not
Yeah.
even big on deer, but
We-
that
You
that
couldn't
shit
even
was
hunt
so
bear
good.
around here until fairly, like, after 2000, I think. There weren't enough around here.
Yeah,
And, like, you couldn't even have a season. Cause
I know a guy I work with. He goes out of state to hunt them. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
He hunts.
there's that dude down there in West Fork that's famous for that shit though.
What'd
that
he do?
Newcomb guy or whatever. He's like when you come out of the tunnel, right there to the right. That's all his land, and he has that. Like he's on there with meat eaters on this whatever channel or whatever.
Huh.
But he's from West Fork,
Yeah,
and he's
wow.
like he's known as like the bear guy. He kills bears and stuff like that. But yeah.
I'm sure they're out there.
Oh yeah, I've seen them.
They
I've
have to
definitely
be
seen 'em.
somewhere.
I've definitely seen them, but not like you see deer. They're deer like ticks.
Oh my God. We're in Weddington Woods and we're infested.
Is that where you're at now?
Yeah.
Langston Woods.
Yep.
Cool.
You just rock
Right.
up.
Where
right
were
across
you
from Larry
raised?
Darling,
Around
as a matter
here?
of fact.
Are you?
Farmington,
Yes.
Langston Woods. Yeah.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
so what? Yeah, like my land. Like if you just go down Weddington, and you go out Elkhorn Springs, it's on top like Highland Church. That's where.
Oh wait.
Do you
Right
know
by
where-
the hemp farm, right? Is that
No.
Highland Church? That road
Like
before
you know where
get to the hemp
you
farm?
know where the what's that gas station down there? The 16
16
General.
Yeah.
So you turn
Okay,
left.
Elkhorn, okay.
That's Elkhorn Springs Road.
Yep.
When you go down there, it wise, and you turn left, and you go on top of the hill. And that's where
Okay.
I
Down Aunt Becky's old road.
But that's Highland Church.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Once you turn left,
Okay.
And
Okay.
it
But the
goes
road
all-
that goes to Highland Church is what?
Elkhorn Springs.
That's
Road.
Yes.
Elkhorn
Yeah.
Springs.
We
Yeah,
don't.
yeah.
We don't go down that road very much. So.
Elkhorn Springs.
It used to all be dirt.
See, that
Now
used to be
it's-
nothing. That's
Yeah,
where
it's all-
That's-
my
yeah.
sister and her husband lived, and he burned the pot for the sheriff's department. out
Yeah.
there.
So out there, yeah. It's not far from that.
Hold on.
Yeah, I know where that's
Yeah.
at.
Jason's like, yeah.
Yeah. I knew where they did it.
I used to always
Right?
tell him, I was like, man, let me take it and I'll burn it.
So these guys would just go out and burn it and just
When they
waste it.
found it, yeah. Just
You,
burn
I
it.
mean,
Pile.
so that'd be some pile.
He had Ford pickup, and it would just he had tied where they would go bust people and
Isn't that
cut their
so
plants
nuts?
down. And I would
Oh,
say
he had a
waste
pool
all that
room where
shit.
he got to keep all the booze.
All the beer they
All the beer. He
confiscated.
had beer stacked.
That's what he said. I
all the
pour
way
them
up the
out
wall,
one at a time.
all the way around.
So that's what about the
Jeez.
weed. I was like, well, let me take the weed and I'll burn it one at a time. He's
Remember,
like,
I
if it
got-
was legal, I'd do it.
I got
But it's
caught with a
illegal.
can of snuff in a bathroom. Actually, what was going on was Fisher was bumming a dip from me, and so I given him the can. I'm at the urinal. Well, the door opens and he sees Mr. Rowe coming in. So he throws, rather than just going into a stall and removing himself,
Right.
he throws it back to me in clear view. And so I'm like,
yeah.
so he's like, in my office, Durham. I'm like, what about the asshole that just threw it back to me? Anyway, so he brings me in there. He opens the bottom drawer, and it's one of those, the file drawers, just filled to the brim with tobacco. And I'm like, now I want to break in here and get all of that shit.
All of it.
Thanks for letting me know where that is.
Yeah.
I never did, but geez.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But yeah, so you know where they burned it.
Yes.
That was his job. That was what
Could you imagine standing around that bonfire?
That's what I told him. I'll go. Just let me stand. He wouldn't even let me go when he burned it.
Build it with a blanket.
It's against the law.
Yeah,
That's
right?
what I kept saying. It's
That's what I'm thinking. How do I maximize this?
And I know you and your buddies are all out there standing around.
no
Yeah,
shit.
right. They're having a good time.
That's what I'd ask him. Have you ever smoked pot? And he's like, nope.
Just been
I
at
said,
the
how come?
bonfires.
I said, how come? And he said, I was afraid I'd like it. But he could put back the beers like there's no tomorrow.
They all sat around that damn fire with some bunch of beers,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
That sounds like a good time, though.
Yeah, he's
God,
a
you think
good
about-
guy.
You just have bust after bust after
Yeah.
bust, and it's like, hey, we got 2.
And they used to. Taterbug, he told him one time, Taterbug got busted. They took his plants. And so Taterbug told him, he said, damn, why don't you throw your car down or something whenever you guys take a plant? A guy could shoot his friend over that shit. You could
That happened to a friend of mine though
Yeah.
in the '90s. He went to check his plants, and the Steve Whitmill left his card there.
Yeah.
Plants were gone.
Yeah.
It was Steve Whitmill's card sitting
That's
there.
what Taterbug asked Richard to do. You can be at least courteous so we don't kill our buddy.
Yeah. Well, y'all seem to be very close, obviously.
Yeah.
Have you always been, or is
Yes.
this a...
Oh no.
No. She had some...
Mandy raised her.
Yeah.
Really?
Not really. I mean, she
No.
did have me trained.
I trained her.
She told me
by
from
the
a
time
very
she
young
was
age
5.
that she was not going to be around, and I was going to need to know how to take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I did.
I thought I was going
Put
to
big
die.
shoulders on.
She
I just
never
went to prison.
Like, yeah,
That's what I told her.
I woke up
Sorry.
to an alarm clock from the time I was 5.
Yes.
She never woke me up.
Kindergarten, she got
I
herself
rode the
up
bus,
to
like,
school.
but never. I was
That's
yeah,
not
but and then as a teenager, of
bad
course,
thing.
I hated her.
No, my mom. That's what my mom
So
used to
no.
say. Oh, she just raised herself. So
No,
what
no,
the
I
fuck?
was
having
like-
standard...
From birth to 5, when you put all their shit in their head.
Like, she was psycho.
you know.
Don't
I
get
was,
me
I
wong.
was-
She
yes.
was psycho. Like
I call it Bobby D. That's my
She
mother's
had me
name.
watch what?
Mommy
Mommy
Dearest.
Dearest as a 5-year-old.
I'm not
So
familiar.
that I knew that
Joan
she
Crawford.
was not a bad mom.
I
Like-
know of the...
Joan
what's the
Crawford.
premise of that
So
movie?
Joan Crawford was the
Beat her child with
yeah.
a wire
She adopted
hanger.
kids for
No,
a publicity
wire.
stunt and then beat the fuck out of
Okay.
them
Yeah.
all the time.
I didn't beat. you
Not all the
bad.
time.
That beats you bad! She's like,
You
"I'm
kept coming back.
No, it wasn't horrible, but like yeah, I did.
And it
get my
wasn't.
ass
I
beat.
did not use a belt. I didn't use anything to
Just
whip.
balled
No,
up
other
that
than
was
fist.
not
just
the belt. That was my dad. Oh yeah, no,
I just be like
yeah.
cracking, smacking her.
Yes, the syllable beating. I got those. The
She was
syllable-
like 3. She was like 3 at J.C. Penney's. And back
Oh,
then you
no,
could
this
smoke
story.
the ashtray. The
Yeah,
ashtray's right there at the register.
right. That's nuts, man.
There's a
Yeah.
cookie. There's a cookie in the ashtray.
Oh no.
So I'm checking out.
And
Mandy's
Peggy's
over
real
here,
life.
and I got my check. I'm trying to write the check, and Mandy's over there, and she's like, looking, and she grabs the cookie, and so, no, throw the cookie back. And so I'm writing the check, and she's just looking at me,
Fuck
and
you.
I'm like, no, don't touch that cookie, don't touch that cookie. And I got the check. Girl, that little bitch, she took that cookie and she bit that
Smiled
cookie
the whole time.
the whole time.
Man.
So yeah,
And I
when
remember
grabbed the
ass
bag
whooping
and I
I got
grabbed
the
her
whole way
arm.
home.
I had one of them umbrella strollers, and I hooked it on my arm with that bag, and I jerked her arm up. You goddamn auntie juice it. And yeah, it was horrible. I'm not proud of it.
No, we had a
And I-
Volkswagen Bug, and I tried to squeeze in between the
I
door
can still
and
see
the
her.
seat.
Just-
Yeah.
She was curled up, and I was Bobby D. That's all I can say.
Well, let me ask you this. I know,
That's funny.
especially for me as a parent, you know, I was a completely different person before my kids were born, and I'm a completely different
And he's got
person
3
now.
boys,
Yes.
by the way.
But they change you, and you learn from them
Yes.
almost as much as they learn from you.
Yes.
Did you find that was
Yes.
the case?
Yes. And I did better. I have 2 boys, 25 and 26. Chance
She
and Taylor,
inherited
who
them.
was God given. They were given to me at 5 and 6 years old. Their mother got killed in a car wreck, and I met their dad, lived next door to my mother. And so I've had them, and so I raised them a lot better. There was a lot calmer Peggy.
Yes.
with them than.
But you acknowledge you made
Oh,
mistakes.
Absolutely.
But
yes.
you learn from it.
I take
We
full
still
responsibility.
like with the way I raise my daughter and
Yes.
son, like she'll say stuff and I'm like, listen, this is me now. This is me raising kids, not you. Like,
Right.
I'm
Yes.
doing
And you're
it.
the one on the
I'm
captaincy,
doing
yeah.
it different. Like, and not saying that I'm doing the greatest job, but
Right.
like I'm doing it.
She
my
does though
way.
have a good relationship with her daughter.
How old are your kids?
She's not
15 and 22,
Son's 22?
and he's autistic.
He's autistic.
So
Yes.
Really?
he did not adequately prepare me. No, that's how your
your
mom and I, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I was gonna.
yeah, so that's what
Was he a part
she-
of that United Dance at
No,
all,
my
or-
son is very antisocial.
Okay.
He does not like to leave the house. He does not
Okay.
like. I
Is he
tried.
on his own?
No, he lives with us.
Yeah, okay.
He's very high functioning. He can do things by himself. He can cook by himself, but he does not like to leave. He's very agoraphobic. Like he's got that where he doesn't like to go anywhere. Like we tried to do some therapy where it was getting him out of the house to try to prepare him to have a job, and it was very, very difficult.
But he also
And so-
knows how to play her
He
like a
does.
fiddle.
He does.
Yeah.
He's that where
I know.
yeah.
My sister's saying.
It's a
What's
very
next, Mom?
fine line
Yeah.
whenever
Yeah.
whenever they're on
Yes.
special needs. It's a very
Right.
fine line between do I need to worry
Or
or
you-
are you just fucking
You're
with
full
me,
of
man?
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like and
yeah.
it's a very fine line, and so yeah, he knows how to manipulate, and so then for the 15-year-old. She sees her brother and she's like, well, he doesn't have to fucking do that. Why do I have to fucking do that? Like, and so, yeah.
I love that.
She's
part
very
of it.
spoiled.
I love her
very
getting
spoiled.
shit from her
Well, I love that
daughter.
y'all are close despite having a lot of shit in your
Yes.
history, right? You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
I think that's true for a lot of
But
families.
she
Yes.
helped me heal
Sure.
from
Yes.
mine.
Yeah, that's
and
beautiful.
in turn, we merged because she became.
I'm
what
very
she-
empathetic
Yes.
and very like I've tried to therapize myself
Sucker.
for many years. So because I've gone through some shit, and so
Yeah.
like I had to deal with that shit myself, and so like in a lot of the things that I deal with is the same things. I'm that way because of her, like not blaming her.
Yeah.
But like it just that's what happened, and so I'm like, listen, you've got to acknowledge this shit, and so yeah, it's been
Well,
very,
some people won't.
No,
Some people will
and
not
she's been
acknowledge
very good.
any
Like
faults, yeah.
she's been very good about acknowledging the things that were wrong.
I know.
with-
I was fucking.
Yes, and so and like as an
But that's
adult,
good. That's beautiful
Yeah.
that you felt like you
and
were.
as an adult, knowing my
Had
grandma, like. I loved my
'Cause
grandma.
she-
Don't get me
she
wrong, but
got
my
the
grandma
grandma
treated me
the
like
same as
shit.
my mom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
She treated me differently than all the other grandkids because I was hers.
Really?
So she still loved me. Like I never
That seems
doubted
petty.
that she loved me,
Oh.
but I was
Bobby D
always
was
the
petty.
Yeah, I was always the troublemaker. I was always the one. Even if I wasn't the one instigating anything, I was the one that
It was
got
your
blamed
fault.
for it because
Really?
I'm hers. But then there were the days that I would get in
were the
trouble on the
devil
way down to
child.
grandma's house. And I knew if I could make it to grandma's house without getting my ass beat, she couldn't whoop me in front of grandma. Like that, she was still
Right.
that grandma.
Yeah.
But still, if it was
As a
between
matter
me
of
and my
fact,
cousins.
when my grandson was like 2 or 3, my mother, I lived next door to my mother with Frank.
Oh no, he was like 5 or 6 then.
Okay.
Because that's when we lived
Okay.
across the street.
Yes. Okay, Aspen was
Yeah.
also born.
Same
Yeah.
Aspen, so he was 7.
So my mom had the bunch of those little dollar pizzas.
Totino's pizzas.
Probably,
Oh, yeah.
she probably had 10 of them at the house,
Okay.
at her house. There was my niece and nephew, and several
Yeah.
of them were up there.
Yep.
And so I was cooking dinner, and Mandy and Dylan had come up to eat dinner, and Dylan was hungry right then, So I said, run up there to Mom's and get him a piece of pizza. So she comes back a few minutes later, and she's got tears in her eyes. I'm like, what's the matter? She said, Grandma wouldn't let me in the house. She said there wasn't no pizza in there. Yeah. And as I squealed past their house and flipped them all off, I went and bought my grandson a pizza. And then they're calling, what's the matter with you? I was like, you know what? Take those pizzas and stick them straight up fucking house. Don't,
Why did they
you
say there were
know?
no pizzas in it?
Just
Because it was Mandy.
Because
Because it was
so it
us.
was literally that petty.
It was that petty.
Those pizzas were for the other kids.
Yes.
See, I think, man.
But when she had nobody else, I was the one who was there.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't know who in the hell I was. And I think the first year my mother knew shit. She didn't go into dementia. She didn't lose her mind. She was fine. She was the Bobby D I knew. Mm-hmm. And we were going through all of getting her house. It took us 6 weeks. She had to hire an attorney to get my sister to sign her deed over to her and get her pay off her house. So we were going through all of that shit. And after that was done and it kind of calmed down, I don't know if dementia set in my mother or if losing 2 of her children, one to death, one to life, broke her.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and she was
And it was her baby and her favorite.
Yes, it was her.
Like,
Becky was her be all of end all.
Yeah.
To her, so because in her deepest time, we would be driving. Because I'd always take her down to Altus where she grew up, and she would tell her stories. And we would be driving, and I'd ask her name, and her name, her social security number, my dad's name, my dad's social security number, and I'd say, "What's my name?" And she's like, "I don't know. Who the hell are you?" And I would just start busting up. She's like, "No, really, who the hell are you?" And I'm like, "It's all right, no big deal." But there were times she thought I was her friend. You remember whenever we were down there, you know, and there's a hotel on the square in Altus. It's Altus,
the Dead
right?
Pecker Inn.
Well, the Dead Pecker Inn it's gone, but the square, there's like a hotel, I think an old hotel that was maybe there, and it had the spiral cast iron stairs in the back, and we were pulling along there one day with her, and I said, "Mom, is that the old hotel you used to go to after the bar with the man?" Because she didn't know who the hell I was. Right. And I said, "Where you used to go?" And she looked at me all serious. She said, "Well, hell no. We went out behind the bushes and raised up our skirt tails." I was like, "Oh my God, no, Mom." So that was my Bobby D.
Condo hotel.
Yeah, I was like, my
got no money for a hotel.
My niece was in the back seat. She's like, "Oh my God, Grandma, no."
She had no idea. What she was telling
Oh no, we all knew. We all
But she
always
would
know.
always know. Yeah.
Are you prepared for the dementia onset?
I'm afraid it's gonna hit me before it hits her. I tell people, my best friend is like, "I know you're gonna get the dementia, and I'm gonna take care of you." I'm like, "I'm glad," because
people with dementia could really get taken advantage of. It's
Yes.
really sad.
And like I used to say the women in our family lived to be really old.
Yeah, my mom was 86.
90s, and her aunts were in their 90s.
I have an
They lose
aunt
their
that's
fucking
98.
minds.
No, she started
But-
as attack. Dad's sister.
But Mom's generation is proving that to be incorrect. 'Cause
I think
she's
it was the
only
drugs
one
I
left.
did in the 70s that,
It
like, pure, what do you call it? What do you call it?
pickled you.
It pickled you. Yeah, that's my logic for alcoholism.
Yeah,
is
I'm
I'm
just-
just
yeah.
preserving myself.
Yeah, so.
There's
We
no
don't know what
fucking
there's
way
in.
William Shatner is not drinking.
Listen,
Right?
look at Keith Richards.
Yeah.
If anyone,
That dude's done more
Willie
drugs
Nelson,
than
like,
all of
He's
us.
just propped up.
Ozzy Osbourne's
Yes.
still alive.
Look at these guys.
Is he
that
though?
Just,
Yeah, you see
They're
that?
snapping heads off of bats.
yes,
He has
like
no
it's. they're-
You remember? I told you we watched Tropic Thunder with the boys. You remember the Jack Black storyline?
Oh yeah.
He's addicted to heroin.
Yeah.
And that bat takes his jelly beans, and he ends up catching that bat. And he picks it up and he goes, "You OD'd!" He starts sucking the bat's blood to get the drugs out. Oh man, that's funny.
Yeah.
That movie, you couldn't make it now.
No.
There's a lot
Oh, you
of
can
that
make
you
it
can't
now.
make them
Trump's
now.
But I'm telling you, I bet we start seeing movies like that again in the next few years.
I don't know. Movies are going down.
They've been going down for
Yes,
decades.
yeah.
Though.
Just somebody, we went to the show the other day and somebody said, "Well, what did you, the movie." They
What'd
said,
you go
"What did
see?"
you go?" I don't know.
She doesn't know.
So the dementia apparently has already started.
No,
No, I have always had this
My cousin
problem.
posted what it was, and I don't even remember.
Where we
Did
were
you
when
enjoy it?
something.
Who we were?
Yes, it was
or
very funny.
the-
It's good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't
Tell you what it
remember.
is.
I don't know what it was, but I liked it.
That's fucking
Yeah.
awesome.
But all my life, I was probably ADHD, but they didn't diagnose you back then. They just said you were stupid.
She tried to diagnose
You got
you.
slapped. You know, I got smacked so many times.
Right.
You know, because
that's
you
when
didn't
I was older,
understand.
we're like, we've always blamed Dylan. Like, I've always said that Dylan's autism it comes from his dad's side. Like, there's 3 boys on his dad's side of the family, and they're all very high functioning, but like.
Yeah.
Asperger's, like it's, and I'm like, oh, it comes from his dad.
It is a
comes from his
threat.
dad.
It is
and
a-
the older we get, I'm like,
Does it
we're
really?
a little fucking crazy, maybe.
Because
we
I
got
could
a touch
read.
of it over here too.
Yeah.
I can
It's-
remember in grade school having to read The Emperor with No Clothes, and I read that thing 15 fucking times because I had to give an oral book report.
Right.
And she'd say, "What is it about?" And I said, "It's about an emperor with no clothes." She said, "Well, what happens?" And I said, "He doesn't have any clothes. Go read the book and come back." I would go read the book and come back, and the same thing. I could not tell her what the book was about, other than that he didn't have any clothes.
Right.
I have finally, now that I'm 65 years old, I know that he hired a tailor that was fucking him, and that was making him clothes, and they weren't really clothes. They was just
That's an interesting interpretation.
is what I'm thinking it was.
It's
not.
actually a terrifying story about society.
See, is it? See, and she made me read it and
We
read
just
it and
lived
read
through
it.
it for
Maybe
the
that's
last
what
4 years,
happened.
actually.
Maybe that is what happened
Now
with
the emperor would go out naked, claiming they had all this great shit with
Yes.
this new tailor, but he was nude. But the people were so terrified of authority that they didn't point it out.
me. Okay, so see, that's,
They just went along with
yeah,
it, basically.
I was just like, he didn't have no
It was
clothes.
the Joe Biden scenario.
Well, that reminds me of duck hunting down in Louisiana. There's this old dude, and like we had like bunks in this big, and there's this old dude just walks out butt ass naked. Like we would be like every morning, the lady would make us like breakfast burritos or whatever, and we'd be getting our shit ready, you know. And you turn around, there's this old man just butt ass naked walking out just. And we're like, what
Was
the
that
fuck?
a
And
dementia
everybody-
thing, or was that?
Well-
You get to the age where you just don't give a fuck.
Yeah, and that's where he was. So
Part of
he
it, too.
he ended up like we ended up finding out he was like some kind of like fucking governor or something, get senator. Or something. We're like, what the fuck, you know? Like, how? Okay,
He's got
cool.
So
some
he's
fucking
used to
money.
doing that
Yeah.
shit.
Give a
He does
shit.
it all the
Yeah,
time.
that fucking money walk around naked. I
And
don't
that's,
care.
yeah, the dude was like, oh yeah, don't fuck with him, man. He's he knows people. I'm
Do you
like, well,
imagine
God
the level
damn,
of
I mean,
power that?
Oh
that
no.
Well, like to become a governor or a senator, president, or whatever, you have to be a different kind of person.
Yes.
You got to have an
Absolutely.
ego that is just
Yes.
beyond, right? To be able to do
Borderline
that.
narcissist.
Yo, 100%.
Borderline?
Right.
Okay. Full fledged.
But just walk out, just
Card
fucking-
carrying.
But that kind of power and that kind of, people, I think we trust our institutions way too much.
Yes.
We just assume these people are better and smarter and they're just the same
Yeah.
fucking people we are
Yeah.
in positions of
Yes.
power that are fucking shit up.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's really wild when you think about it. Because you put yourself in that situation. You're like, if I had like unlimited resources and power, I would be a monster. You know what I mean?
I still wouldn't walk out naked in front of him.
I don't even walk like
sure?
walking out naked
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't.
But you hear about all these, just the sex scandals and underage shit. It was like, I kind of feel
And
like,
that is going on.
and I've known powerful people, and you get bored.
Yeah.
You get bored here,
Right.
And so you want to keep pushing the
Yes.
envelope and getting into illegal shit.
Yes.
And I have the power to get away with this.
Yes.
And it's all
Yes.
about. I heard. So I don't remember who quoted this, but like, everything in life is about sex, and sex is about power.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Right?
Yep.
And so you get weirder and weirder, and you want to be able to do things to these individuals and be untouchable. It's a really dark side of humanity.
Yes.
He did it.
Yes.
Yeah, the P. Diddy shit.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get a lot of visibility in the next few years to a lot of this shit. I don't know if it's good or bad.
Yeah.
But shit's getting ready to come out.
I hope so.
Yes.
At least about that.
Yes.
Like the
Stop the
Epstein
children.
list. Why
Right.
don't we have
Where's
the Epstein
that
list?
at?
Yeah.
Why don't we have it?
Why? Yes.
Well, see, I have a niece. When we did Do Not Do Ancestry. Do not do a
Don't
DNA.
do
It
it.
no, it
I've
works.
done that
No,
shit.
No.
So Ancestry warns you when you do we did 3 of them actually.
Yeah.
When you do, was it 23andMe?
That's one I think I did.
It warns you. It says you can't go back. Once you do this and you learn the things that you learn, you can't go back.
You can't unfuck yourself.
So we did it.
Okay.
And she found out she's got a brother. My grandpa, yeah, he's dead.
Yes.
But my grandpa apparently fathered a child on his way fucking to New Guinea before World War II.
Wow.
And this guy grew up thinking his last name was Hinchcliffe. We're not sure if that's because my grandpa lied to the lady about his name, or she slept with more than just my grandpa and that's the name she remembered. Not sure. But
It's 1942.
he fathered a daughter that was given up for adoption, and she was in an adoption ring in California that was basically a sex
Georgia
ring.
Tan. Georgia Tan adoption agency.
How were they operating
And
it? So it was basically
they would go
the adoption
to
center
wealthy. They would go to wealthy families, and they were
Buying children for
buying
sex.
and trading,
Fucking
and yes.
Unbelievable, man.
She said when she was like 12, 13.
Through
in
an
that
adoption
area.
program?
Yes, Georgia Tan
Very
adoption.
well known. You can Google Georgia Tan.
Georgia Tan Adoption
It's
Agency. That's who Joan Crawford got her children
That's who
from.
Joan Crawford got her children from too. Yeah.
And
Yes.
she was
Georgia Tan?
Georgia Tan,
You doing some
Tann.
research now.
And
Yeah, that's fucking
she was adopted. Her mom was single. My brother, the father of her, was
Had a
married
family, yeah.
with 2 other daughters. So she didn't have anywhere. I'm sure she was scared. I'm sure she didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
She was young. It was, she's your age, so the 70s,
Yeah.
late 70s.
Early 80s.
I felt like I
Yeah,
got
she's
up
a-
with her, dude.
Oh, she's a professional.
Listen, 2020 got me.
Man.
But
I feel like I'm like slacking over here. I like it.
2020.
I
No,
like it.
I left the house. I'm like, you think 7 beers is going to be enough? My husband's like, they better be. I was like,
We got plenty more than that. We'll take care of it. Yeah.
But yeah, so she, her mother gave her to the adoption agency or sold her. She doesn't know that because when she found her mother, she was dead too.
So think about this. You're a parent. You, for whatever reason, you want to give this baby up for adoption. This thing goes into essentially a sex trafficking ring. It happens all over the country.
all the time.
And this
all
is
over.
why I had an abortion in the 70s, 80s, because of shit like this.
Right.
I could not picture myself giving a child up, and I knew I couldn't raise
Was this
a child.
before you'd had any kids?
Oh yes, and this was Bobby D. It wasn't really my choice. It was Bobby D's
Okay.
choice that this is what
She
you're
was
going
like
to
16,
do.
yeah.
Okay.
This is what you are going to do. Which, yes.
Do you ever wonder like what would happen if I'd have gone down the path where I had it, or do you just not even think about it?
I don't think it would have been a good path. I
Yeah.
think
I feel like we struggled with
Yeah.
her having me at 19
Yes.
and being in a better headspace. Like,
Yeah.
we struggled, so I could only
Yeah.
imagine.
yeah.
Her-
And the person I was pregnant by was not.
Which is not a conductive lifestyle
No.
to the baby.
Right.
Obviously, it wouldn't have
And
been a
in the
healthy
70s,
household.
there was an abortion clinic in California. There was an abortion clinic on every
Right.
corner, so,
Yeah.
and not that I'm condoning it, but I
No.
don't condemn it either. I don't.
No.
I think it should be up to the woman. I don't think my mother should have made the choice for me.
Okay.
But that was her choice to make.
Well, let me
on
ask
me.
you this. This is from a flip side, because nobody really considers the man in abortion a
Right.
lot of times. So, you got, say, your 2 young kids, woman gets pregnant,
Yes.
the parents, or the father's family says, just have the baby, give it to us, we'll take care of it, and we'll never
Oh no,
ask
he
you
didn't
for a
want
penny.
nothing to do with.
But I'm just saying,
Right.
He's giving you a hypothetical
in
thing.
this situation,
Would I?
right? Not even you. I'm just saying, here's what happens. This happened to me.
Yes.
Right? Get a girl pregnant, she's going to abort it no matter what. And I'm saying, we'll take care of all
Right.
that. You don't have anything to do. Just give us this 9
Right.
months, but you have no rights. So, the way I look at it is there's 3 people involved.
Right.
only two of them can speak.
Right.
And so the woman ends up getting all the power. She gets all 3 votes. So I'm saying if there was a man who was willing, the father,
yes,
who is willing to take care of that baby, and the woman just doesn't want to have it, I feel like that is a sad.
Absolutely.
That's a sad situation
Absolutely,
because the thing
and
about
the man
that
has
is
no say.
But the thing
Right.
about that is that it's her that has to do the 9 months of.
Sure, absolutely.
And so that's where it's.
I get it.
It's tricky. Like I agree. I hate that men don't get a say. Like it's unfair. But then there's also that flip side of the coin that there's a lot of kids that their mothers have them and the fathers have absolutely nothing to do with it.
And that would have been this case.
So
well, I'm just
so
throwing out into the abortion.
That's where
argument.
my mom saw the wherewithal that I didn't have at 15, 16
I'm more
years
taking
old.
it in kind of like a hyper.
Right.
The abortion thing comes up all the time, and it's like, man, I see both sides of it. There are, but there are 2 sides of it.
There absolutely
I totally get it. My fucking body, my choice. By God, I didn't want people putting a fucking vaccine that wasn't tested in my body.
Absolutely.
Same kind of
thing.
scenario. But I just don't think.
But there's so much more education options out there for kids. When I was growing up, they didn't talk. You didn't talk about sex.
Yeah.
My girls would get pregnant and didn't even.
I had already had the
to
abortion.
not get pregnant.
Yeah,
Like,
I had already had the abortion when my mother gave me the sex talk, and it was doing dishes, and she said, "If you're gonna fuck around, get on the pill."
Yeah.
And I was standing next to her rinsing dishes, and just looked at her like, "What the fuck? Where did that come from?"
Well, you
Just
grew up
out of the
in a
blue.
much tougher time. Americans were tougher. We're much closer to wartime. Right?
Right.
I mean, so most of us, your generation, my generation, even, we haven't had to really fucking struggle as Americans for a long time.
No.
You grew up in a very tough generation. I know there's a fine line between tough and abuse, right?
Yes.
There was a lot of abuse going on back
Yes.
then. I feel like we've really eradicated a lot of
Yes.
that, and that's a great thing.
Yes.
But I also feel like we've gotten way too fucking soft.
Absolutely.
Right. Yes.
And we are the weakest we have
Absolutely.
ever been as a people,
Right.
as a country.
Yes.
I get it. When, I struggle with depression and anxiety and all of the same things the kids nowadays are struggling with, but I go to work. I get my shit done.
But we were taught.
We were
that
taught
you
you fucking push
tuck
through
that
it.
shit in
Because
and
it's
you
possible.
Do your shit.
But you can do it.
Yes.
You can.
And it's a good feeling. But now it's like, I need a mental health day, or I need this or that. I feel like parents want to protect their kids. What you need, like
Restroom.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Just right back
Right
there.
in the middle.
Don't trip over that dog.
In the middle.
Go that way. Go that way. This way will trip you up.
Yeah.
We got all kinds of wires there.
He's dying. Don't worry about it.
He's dying. He's in the middle of dying. But you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You
No,
get
I
the-
completely agree. Like even my son, like he's depressed, he's anxious. I'm like, you live in your bedroom, you're on your computer. Like, what do you even have to be depressed and
Right.
anxious about? Like, you've just got to
People
push
who
through.
don't
And
experience it don't understand it.
And it's hard for me, like, because I'm that person. I'm like, tuck that shit in. Like, let's just move on. Like, I'll cry in the shower on Thursday. That's fine.
That's
like,
your cry day,
yeah,
right?
That's just,
Yeah.
okay. Like, just push it down. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like,
Yeah.
you deal with it and move on.
Yeah.
Like-
I feel like there's a middle ground.
There is.
Where it's like, I feel like today there are no fucking standards for anything. It's just you be you, right?
Which
and
is
and there's no
great,
accountability.
but you've got to.
You have to live in a society.
Exactly. You have to live with other people.
Especially if you
Like-
have, if you're responsible
Yes.
for other people.
Right,
You
absolutely.
can't just be melting down all the time.
No.
How old is Dylan? Is his name?
Mm-hmm.
So he's 22 now.
22.
How long before you realized, like, because I remember when Chelsea was born.
So
like,
Dylan wasn't diagnosed until. So we got an ADHD diagnosis in the 3rd grade.
Okay.
And he was not diagnosed with
That was
autism.
Farmington then, right?
No, that was Greenland.
And so this is your first child.
So this
you
is my
really don't
first
know
child.
What's normal,
So
what's
yeah,
not normal. You're
and
just
Dylan
having-
was very mechanically inclined. As even a toddler, like we had gone over to a friend's house and they had one of those toys. It's like a truck that it's got all these different parts to it. Like, there's a screwdriver and you put it all together. It's got the wheels and it just all goes together. Well, it's all apart in this dude's toy box. And Dylan is 3 years old and he goes and finds every single part to that toy and brings it over to me and is putting it together, like bringing it to me and putting it together. And the dude that the house we're at, he's like, I didn't even know that did that. Like, but Dylan figured it all out. Like, he was a very smart kid. Sure. Like, he wasn't developmentally delayed as an infant, toddler.
So not noticeable.
Not noticeable when
he
was
backhoe, track hoe, dump
My
trucks.
dad drove a dump truck, and so he would carry around one of those trader magazines that had the heavy equipment in it. Yeah. And that kid at 3 years old could tell you the difference between a backhoe and a track hoe. Yes, obsess over it.
Yes.
And so he started school, and like we were at West Fork to begin with, and like I kept asking the teacher, I'm like, she's like, no, he's just a boy. He's just a boy. He's fine.
Which honestly is not a bad answer, because boys do obsess over sports stats or
and
whatever.
So I'm like, okay, well then we moved from West Fork to Greenland, and the first day of school, the third grade teacher wrote me a 2-page letter about my child and his behavior. Not that it was bad.
Okay.
She was like, not saying he was bad at all.
It was constructive.
She's like, I just want to, touch base with you and see if you're aware of this, blah, blah. And I'm like, I've been asking his teachers for the last 3 years, and I'm just being told he's a boy. Like, I don't, and so...
But she was watching his behaviors.
Yes, and that's what, as a mom, I'm like, I know there is, like, I've got little brothers. My little brothers are, Dylan and my 2 little brothers are all 2 years apart.
Right.
So Dylan is the youngest.
And these are your bonus kids.
Yes.
Right.
And so, like, I'm seeing Dylan with my little brothers, and I'm like, he is way far behind them.
Yeah.
Like, not, like, just... where they're at, he's not there, and it's just different. So I'm like, something is going on here. And so they tested him at Greenland through the school, and again, I was told he makes too much eye contact to be autistic. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, we got an ADHD diagnosis at that point, and so we tried.
Autistic kids make great eye contact. That is
unknown
science.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's
like,
why everybody's like, trust the science.
Yeah,
like,
the science is horrible.
Bitch.
And so, yes,
science
is not finite ever.
Yeah, my sister looks you right in the eye. Never...
No, and that's what I'm like.
She's talking about the Chiefs.
I'm like, okay.
She sent me a text today. She was like, hey, sorry. I don't want to interrupt, but I want to tell this. So, we had made a bet on the Bills game. Yeah. It was like, we bet a lunch. So I took the kids over there on Sunday because Dad was going to help Theo fix his bike. So I was just going over there to hang out, right? And Chelsea's like, so when do you want to do that lunch? And I was like, let's do it right now because I don't want this hanging over me. I'm like, I was like, come on, let's go. Let's go. We go, and we did it, and then she sends me a text today. She was like, you want to do a bet on the Super Bowl? I'm like, no. No, I'm not. Yeah. I'm done.
She'll talk to me about Travis Kelce and what's Taylor Swift and all that stuff. Yeah, it's like, Jesus
indeed. So anyway, sorry. I had to throw that in
Go
there.
Taylor.
I forget about it.
Oh, my God.
Swifties. Yeah.
Bullshit. Anyways, keep going.
Yeah.
With football,
it
what
is
would
more
NFL
go
be without
Swifties.
Taylor?
Fucking a lot better off.
I had somebody
That's
accuse
for
me
sure.
recently who doesn't know me at all or how much football I watch. And they're like, oh, you just hate Kansas City because of fucking Taylor Swift. I'm like, I've hated Kansas City since the 90s. I hated Trent Green more than anybody. Yeah. You remember that motherfucker?
Oh, yeah, I do.
He would just come out and destroy the Broncos every week.
See, my husband's a Broncos fan. He hates the Chiefs.
Yeah, I hated him my entire
Yes.
life. I'm like, this is nothing new to me.
Yes.
Now, I respect Andy Reid. I respect the players.
Yeah.
I think there's some shirts.
We're going to curb stomp their ass, though.
I hope so. I hope we just put their teeth, just stomp it in. Fly, Eagles, fly.
That's right.
You were telling a story, and I'm sorry. We derailed that.
Okay,
but that's part of what this is. It's
right,
chaos.
Absolutely. So third grade, we got the ADHD diagnosis, and so I'm not a medication mom. We did medicate My husband has tried every medicine that my son has ever done. Before my son did it, he's like, I want to know what it's doing to him
Which husband's
before
name?
Brandon.
Brandon, okay.
Yeah, and he's like, I want to know what it's doing to him before we give it to him. Like,
Fair.
So,
Good.
And so yeah, he's done all the things. And
Good dad.
And so by the
He
time
is a
we
good
got
dad.
to
awesome.
Farmington when Dylan was in the 5th grade, and so at Farmington, Dylan had an incident. He
This
left.
would have been.
He's-
I'm trying to think what year this would have been. He's 22
2012.
now.
It was 2012, 2013. And so he had an incident at school. He loved Obama. And the other kids were making fun of Obama. And
What racist pieces of shit?
I mean, and so Dylan, I don't remember. I think
You
that
can't hate
Dylan,
somebody based on anything.
I
color.
think that
Went in there
Dylan
and beat
threatened
their
to like hang himself with his jacket or something.
Are you
like,
serious?
Yeah, something crazy. And so the principal calls me and he's like, "Listen, he's gonna go through, what is it? What's Ozark guidance, or you can take him outside of the school and have him evaluated." And I'm like, okay,
This is
I
5th
don't
grade.
trust. Yeah, I'm like, I don't trust Ozark Guidance Center, so we're gonna take him somewhere. So we took him to Vista.
Why don't you trust him?
Yeah. My aunt, her son went to Ozark Guidance.
Judy
and
loved Ozark Guidance.
At one point, that kid was on 25 different medications.
Yeah.
Like, no, we're not
That's
doing
not
that.
how you fix a person.
No.
It is
But,
We're not
but
doing
Judy
that.
did.
My aunt
Because that's
did.
how Judy did.
But anyway,
Yeah,
so we
that's
took him to Vista, and that's when we
Okay.
were referred out to a psychiatrist, and they evaluated him, and we got, that's when we got the autism. He was 12.
Okay.
No, 2012, he was 10 or 11.
Did you feel a sense of relief to
Yes.
at least know? Okay,
Absolutely. Now
so
I know
now
what we're dealing
we know
with.
what
Yes.
we know how to help
Yes.
and
Yes.
like be a part of this.
Yes.
But yeah. Okay.
So, and it was still a struggle. Like,
Well, absolutely.
It was
Growing
and
up
he-
in a household with
well,
special
no,
needs
and he
kids, I get
graduated
it.
in 2020 is the year that he graduated.
Okay.
And
He was
I
the
was-
only one that was
I
glad
was
he
gonna
didn't have
make
to
him walk. No, I was
Oh,
gonna
I
make him
bet.
walk. I'm like, I have sacrificed. Like,
Yeah,
being a
Mama
boy
deserves
wanted to
mom,
see that.
being a boy mom,
Yeah.
I was like, I get to watch.
It was more
football,
for
he's
you
gonna
than
play
him.
football. He's gonna do all this, and I didn't get any of that. So I'm
Yeah.
like, it's time for graduation, dude. You're fucking walking.
Yeah.
And he tried to fail. He started failing classes, and so
That's why I say he manipulated.
we
Oh, they're
had
smart.
just
They're smart.
we had just gotten him to passing grades
Yeah.
when the world fucking shut down. And so
He's probably like,
and
hell
he
yeah!
was like, yes! No graduation,
Yeah.
no walking.
Yeah.
Like, which
I don't
at
have
that
to
the
go
point,
world saying fuck you,
Yeah.
mom.
at that point, my husband was like, before, when we found out he was failing on purpose, my husband's
Yeah.
like, you have got to let up on him. He doesn't have to
Would,
walk.
let me ask you: would the like if someone were to just meet him, would they know just talking to him? Is it obvious or
You know something's wrong.
You would know there's something a little off
Something-
with
okay.
him, but not particularly. You'd just be like, oh, he's quirky.
just quirky? Yeah.
So
Okay.
if you want to talk to someone about war, come see my kid. He'll tell you
World
War,
every
any
fucking
war.
thing, any
Yeah.
war, what guns, tanks,
I'd love to have him on a
uniforms. I mean, he
I'd
would
be
talk
really
to you
interested to talk to
forever
him.
about war.
Would you think
And
he'd be-
games.
Well, he doesn't like
He
public. Would
might,
he do it?
he
Chelsea.
might do this
Since
like,
it's not live,
So yeah, and if he didn't realize, yeah, he would. I mean, he might. So but
ask
yeah,
him. I'd
I
love
will.
to talk to him.
I will. I'll ask him because yeah, he's very interesting and
Yes.
the shit that he knows.
I mean, I've grown up
like,
around
right?
special needs all my life. I remember I used to volunteer at the Richardson Center when
that's
Chelsea,
awesome.
my Chelsea,
My
when
Chelsea.
Chelsea was little. And man, I got you just fell in love with these
Yes.
kids, especially the Downs kids. Downs
Yes.
kids. Just,
Oh my God, they
Shane
are-
Gillis has a lot of
See,
great
she
words
had an
about Down
aunt that was
kids.
down.
Yeah, but
So it
even
was-
even autistic kids are very quirky about certain
Yes.
things
Yes.
and like hypersensitive, but they're so intelligent and they're so interesting, and they will talk to you
Right.
if you treat them like
Oh my
humans.
gosh, yes.
And I have
Yeah.
found that if
Oh,
you
no,
just
like-
treat them like they're normal, they love you.
Yes.
Like my friends
Yes.
and I will sit out in the garage and drink beers on the weekends. We used to have bitches night from when COVID. We did bitches night every Friday and Saturday, and my friends would come over. We'd all drink.
They're really for you every night.
And
It's
Dylan-
bitches night.
Absolutely.
In 2020, yeah.
Oh yeah. So, but Dylan would walk out into the garage, and as soon as Dylan walks in, all my friends are Dilly,
Yeah.
and he just gets the biggest
Does
grin on
he?
his face. He's
Yeah.
like, just it's great.
My
So,
sister likes hanging out over
Yeah.
here more than she does
Oh,
anywhere
yeah.
else because
Yes.
we just
She
talk shit.
Right? No.
We give her the same
Yes.
we
Yes.
do everyone
Yes.
else. We
Yes.
don't treat her any differently.
No. So yeah, Dylan will come out and just bullshit with us. Like he's gotten drunk before. He likes he likes a little edible every now and then.
Yeah, ain't nothing wrong
So
with that.
like he's 22.
He's a
I'm
grown
like,
ass
whatever.
man.
Exactly. I'm like whatever.
And he is.
He
You
is.
feel
He's-
that doorway.
He's 6'3", 280 pounds.
Jesus,
Grown
that's a
ass.
big old
Yes.
boy.
His legs are about
No,
that
we used
big
to laugh
around.
because I'm not that big, and his biological dad is like 6'1", and we used to joke when he was a baby. I was like, "It'd be great if he could get your height and my girth," and that kid got his height and my girth, and
There you
so
go.
yeah, like his ankles are this big around, like he's huge, like.
Well,
So I'm like,
talk
I
to
wish
him.
he was a
I'd love to
linebacker.
talk to this dude.
No, okay,
For
I'll
real.
ask him for sure.
What's your relationship with him like?
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's
Tell
my
me
favorite.
about it.
He's
Like,
my favorite.
Yeah. Well, tell me about it.
She told me I could
seriously.
never have more than one kid.
Yes.
Like she was only gonna like one, and
I
then I
see.
got pregnant with Aspen.
Yeah.
So and
He's just, I don't know.
he's amazing.
I had him like the first 3 years of his life
I
because she
yeah.
was out there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we bonded really, really well. That's whenever I was working with Jason.
Yeah.
When I met him, I had to.
And you knew him before he had hair, apparently.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
He was just a baby.
And he used to could say he knew me when I was skinny.
I know, but I can't. I
I
was
said,
good.
I lost some weight. I was
I know.
skinnier than this.
She got
but
that,
yeah.
yeah.
So I said, that's why I told Nicole. I said, but I lost
I got
weight.
bald
and
and
he still
fatter.
don't.
He had a beautiful head of hair in high school. I mean,
I'll bet.
just-
Because he still had hair
like to
whenever he
bleach
started.
it,
How
I
old
guess.
were you when you started?
18.
18. I knew.
Me and
you were-
Calvert used to bleach the shit out of it.
Yeah, you were real blonde.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what everybody thinks I was redheaded. I'm like, I've never been
No,
redheaded.
you were
ever.
blonde,
You know,
blonde.
I've never had red hair, but my beard is.
Drunk. Oh, you come in hungover.
Yeah. I've
No
done
train
that.
him on the finers and polishers.
Yeah.
we
That was
dressed
back
up
in the
as
day.
Peter Pan and Captain Hook
Oh my
for
god.
like my, I don't know, it was 4th grade birthday or something.
Oh, Lord.
What was this shit you said about Peter? You made a funny joke about. I'm the only Peter Pan that couldn't fly or something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Man, I tell you, we had a great. I feel like we had a great childhood growing up.
Yeah.
Where we grew up, the time we grew up.
Oh, I'll bet.
You know, it was kind of in the middle of that abusive generation
Right.
and the snowflake generation.
Yes.
We were like right in the middle where it was cool.
But you were
Yes.
back here too in
Yeah.
Arkansas with
Yeah,
you
100%. You know, and it was just.
So,
You
that's
grow
what I
up-
knew. I had to get her out of California. We
Oh,
couldn't
yeah.
stay in California.
Okay,
Oh.
talk to me about
There
that.
was not.
Why?
Her elementary school had the barbed wire around. Whenever I took her to kindergarten, they had the barbed wire around, and I was thinking, "Oh my God, this is crazy."
Yeah.
You know, I grew up. My high school, we had a lot of Hispanic, so it was gang. We had,
Was
but
it-
never. There was never a shooting. There was lots of stabbings. You know, knives.
Yeah.
You know, things like that, but never shooting like they do now.
Well, no, we've talked about this before, but like when Jason and I were in high school,
Kids
people
would come
had
to school with
guns.
guns in the
Yeah.
gun
No,
racks.
a lot.
Yes.
There were
We
20
go hunting
visible
Boys
after
would
Yeah.
go hunting before school.
and the
Yes.
doors were unlocked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they didn't lock
Right.
the doors.
No.
Right. And nobody touched them.
And nobody
was
touched
shooting.
them.
Nobody
Mothers
got
didn't
mad
worry
in
about
school
it.
and went
Yeah.
out and got their dad's gun and brought. You know, it's just
Like
crazy.
we're old enough
They're-
to that has not been
Yeah.
a thing for a quarter century.
Yeah.
I remember the
Yeah,
days. when, you
it's
could
like
bring-
how do they? That's their go-to.
I kind of
But you
feel like
made
if
me
you
mad.
just let people keep bringing guns to school, we wouldn't have all these school shootings.
Well,
Personally,
yes.
if you know you got a bunch of drunk rednecks around you with guns,
Yeah.
you might think
You know you
twice.
could stop a person with a gun.
Another person with a
Yeah.
gun. Yeah. I don't know. That's my little 2A rant. But so what about you? So your daughter's 15.
Mm-hmm.
And what's that? I mean, it's obviously a different kind of parenting.
It's horrible.
but- Yeah.
It's fucking horrible.
I was gonna say.
I love it.
I didn't want to lead the
Girls-
witness. I just
No,
wanted to know.
girls are.
I've talked
They are.
about
Listen,
it
the
before.
fear
It's-
of fucking pregnancy. Oh,
Man.
she's got a boyfriend.
Hold on. Why are you 15? Oh, God.
Oh, no.
I guess
Yeah.
Listen, I'm I'm excited
Yeah.
because my daughter is 15, and yes, she has a boyfriend. Actually, Sunday is their 1-year anniversary.
Dear Lord.
So, huge deal.
No blankets.
But like, he's a year younger than her, and that's what my husband is like. Thank God that he's a year younger. Like, you know, thank God he's not a year older. And so, but like, just the trying to parent a child, like, because they're gonna do it. I was a 15-year-old girl. You're gonna do whatever the fuck you're gonna do, no matter what your
judgment here.
parents say. You know, like
I would tell their
But
boyfriends, I would
I
say,
was-
if Mandy says no, Mandy means no. And they're like, yes, ma'am. And I'm like, if Mandy says yes,
She means
Mandy
no.
really means no.
Yes.
Good. I like that.
Yes,
I will go back to
Like,
prison.
I like it.
and so, like, but I
Been
have a
there.
very
For
open.
the right reason.
I'm
Yes.
a very like my kids. I've been very honest with them.
Transparent.
Transparent,
Open.
like
That's the best
yes,
way.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, listen,
She
you
got
can
that
get
from me.
pregnant. Like, there's
Yeah.
the only way to keep you from getting pregnant is to not do anything.
Yeah.
None of the ways that prevent pregnancy are 100% other than not doing it. So, like, and so it's really
But it
scary
feels good.
raising a girl
I'll never
because
forget.
yeah.
I don't know. I only have told you a story, but
I said
When you have a boy, you only have to worry
Yes.
about that one penis. When you have a girl,
exactly.
you have
You
to
gotta
worry about all.
That's
of
why I never want a girl.
No,
And
so
I-
you're
I
very
can
lucky.
imagine.
I would,
That's what I said.
You're
I
very
didn't. I
lucky.
had a second chance at virginity with her. I tried to guard that shit really good. This
well, I prayed against it. Like I prayed when
No,
when
when-
we get pregnant, I'd be like, I just don't want a girl.
When I had
No,
Dylan,
'cause
that's
I'm gonna
what
be
I
in
was like,
jail
I don't
in
want a
X
girl.
minus 16
I
years
can
because I knew
imagine.
what kind of piece of shit I was.
Yeah.
See, that's what my dad would say. My God, I knew what I did whenever I was their
No,
age.
I did. Like I
imagine.
No, and
remember
that's
my
my-
buddy Neil used to say, like when he was 16, he said he'd get up, he'd go open the door and go, "Where's the pussy at?"
Oh my God.
Oh no, my husband, he's like, I don't want any boys around her. He's
No.
like, I
No.
don't know.
And she's got a cute
But I
little
gotta tell
shape.
you,
and
my cousin's husband Audie, we're real close. Audie Overton. I was asking him because he got three daughters, and I'm like, how do you send them out into the world?
Oh my
You
God.
know, 3 of them. That's triple the stress,
No.
right? And he said he knew when he was going to school, like the girls that wouldn't put out. Why? They had dads that were close to them.
Yeah.
They got a
Have you
male
seen that
attention
thing on
at
Facebook?
home.
It
Yes.
says, no, my dad said something to me over and over again. What was it? Oh yeah, I love you.
Yeah. But he was like, if I just give my daughters attention and I'm close with them, they don't need to seek that attention
Exactly.
outside. It's honestly
Exact-
one of
and
the
it's-
most powerful things I've ever heard.
and
was
they
is
like
do
that.
absolutely
pick a
true,
man
too.
like your
And they
father.
right, because they respect
Yes.
it, and I love that. I've
Yeah.
And
always
even if
loved
your
that.
dad,
If-
even if your dad is a worthless piece of shit, you still pick the ones just like him.
Yeah, you do.
That's a weird thing.
Yeah.
Why do
Yes.
you think? Well, men and women do it.
Oh
Yes.
yes,
Men marry women like their
Yes.
moms, and women.
Yes.
Why do you think that? It's a subconscious
It's
thing.
something, yeah. It's something where you're trying to fill. You're trying
Well,
to
that's
fix.
the opposite sex
You're trying to
relationship
fix
you've had.
what you've had. I
Yes.
guess
My mom
is-
took care of me. She did
Right.
all of these things. I want a woman who can do those things,
Yes.
but also wants to fuck.
Yes.
Right.
And in Alabama, it doesn't matter. You're fucking both.
Same. Yes. It's the same thing.
Right? We stopped doing that in Arkansas back in the early
Thank
2024s.
Thank God it's all bad. That shit don't happen here.
Yeah, we cut that shit out last year.
Oh.
Last
Mm-hmm.
someone's
Oh no, that's funny. That
But it's so funny how in America there's such a stigma against incest when like that's literally how the British royalty was created.
Oh yeah.
that's
Well,
even in the Civil War. The bloodlines, the cousins would marry because
Sure,
they were
to
trying to
keep
keep
the
the
wealth in the
bloodline
family.
pure. Yeah.
Well, and to keep
Yes.
the wealth, yeah.
Yes. Like it was very
I know.
it was not
So,
normal to
frankly,
see.
Alabama's just keeping it real.
Yeah, they're just doing what they've always
Let's
done.
bring cousin fucking back.
No. Let's not.
Peggy's in.
No, she's laughing because she knows who my cousins are. No. Let's not.
So she's visualizing.
Yeah.
All right. Stop it, Peggy. It's contagious.
and I don't even have cousins on thing.
I didn't even have cousins.
You do.
I don't have any family
You have
left.
more cousins alive
I'm
than
like I
siblings.
do, but I don't. We were raised in California, so
Okay,
my
I know the
family that
restaurant
I
now.
have back here I don't know them.
Good.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
also, there's a lot of
that's
family.
what's ancestry.
Like my wife's, I think there's 11 siblings on her mom's side and like 15 on her dad's.
Oh.
So
All Italian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, them Italians.
And so you talk about each of them having that
Yes.
many kids. So it's insane.
See, no, my mom had 6 kids. My dad had 5, but between them they had 7. He had they had the 4 of us girls. Then my mom had 2 older ones, a boy and a girl. And I have 2 left. Out of
Two
7 of us, there are 3 left.
That's all.
Yeah.
Wow. What
So-
did they go down to? Like, is
Um,
it some kind of genetic thing, or
A
was
heart
it just
attack. My Archie just died July of last year.
Yeah, he left. And Frank.
Yeah, Frank died in October. Judy died in 2014. Marcia died in 2019, I want to say. I think. But I don't talk to the 2 siblings I have left. I'm just waiting to hear that they're dead and I can take those 3 days bereavement.
Oh my
And
God!
get paid. I'm sorry, I'm not sorry.
Jesus. Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry,
No, I
not
get it.
sorry.
Hey, I
You've never
appreciate
worked
your
for Walmart.
transparency, man.
Yeah,
I gotta say, people are just so full of shit, and it's
that's
nice.
one thing I'm not. I
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's
Yeah.
what this whole podcast thing has really been beneficial for me, is because I'm meeting other people like me
Yes.
through Nicole's.
but people don't like the truth.
No, they don't want to admit it.
I've been in way more trouble telling the truth than I ever did get lying.
Yeah.
And I quit lying because I was getting in trouble. So I thought,
Right,
hell,
right.
well, I'm just going to quit lying. But that was one thing my dad told me later on, was
Yeah.
that he respected me because I did always tell him the truth. He's like,
Yeah.
you didn't give a shit. We was going to beat you, or you just told the job.
What is your religious bent? Like, what's your spiritual?
I'm just spiritual. I don't really have a religious preference. I believe there's something.
Something out there.
There's some
greater
kind
than
of
us.
higher power that that I have felt. I have not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Sure.
It's not just
Agreed.
that
Same.
somebody told me.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I have felt. I know is there. It's a safety.
You just don't know exactly what
Right.
it is.
Right.
Yeah.
It's something that I feel
Yeah.
in my bones.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm getting chills now. But it's
Wow.
just that you.
Well, you're
I
getting
just
chills
know.
about it, talking
I
about what
just-
happened. Like you said, you felt it. What happened? What's the
Years
story
ago, I dated a guy, and he died of a heroin overdose.
Okay.
And I was in love. I would have married him probably had, he not
What
done
was
that.
going on with
And
him
to
that
me,
he needed the heroin?
he was
did he
a
have a
drug
lot of-
addict. Oh, he was just
But
a
did
drug
he have
addict.
a lot of like
He's
trauma?
part of the
that he was-
reason we left
He's
California.
no, he was. It was just that was the crowd.
Really?
That was, in
The
the
heroin crowd? He
70s.
was a
Well,
partier.
I never did heroin because they said you had to throw up before you got off, and I was like, well, fuck, I don't drink because you throw up afterwards. So I'm damn sure not going to do something. I got to throw up first.
Right.
So, but he was doing. I didn't know he was doing that, and
And he died while you were with him?
I was back here. I'd gone out there
Oh.
to visit, and we'd had a really good visit. And he was going to come back here and pick me up, Mandy and I up, and move back out there. And
Really?
we could, that
What
was
year
what
was
we were going to
this?
do.
I was 6,
Oh, God,
86
yeah.
or
85
7.
or 86?
Yeah.
That would have been right after you
It would
got
have
here.
been
Yeah,
right after.
yeah.
We'd only
Yeah,
been here a
year
year
or
or
two.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I talked to him on the phone, and he said, I'll see you on Friday. And the next day, his brother called. And he said, are you sitting down? I was like, what? And he's like, Ronnie's dead. And I was like, you're lying. And he's like, no. He OD'd. He had gone out with a guy and did too much and was throwing up, and the guy just took him and dropped him off and laid him on his bed. And his mom said that was, his mom said that was the only night. She said he'd come in before he left and told them of his plan, He said, I'm going to get my shit together. I'm going back and getting Peg and Mandy and bringing her back out here to California. And,
Really?
we're going to build a life together. And Elaine said, my heart was so full that night that she said, I didn't get up. She said, I heard him come in. She said, I didn't get up and go check on him. She said, I got up and checked on him every night but that night because I felt so good. And they got up in the morning and he was dead.
That's tragic.
Yeah, so I went out, I flew back out for the funeral.
How does that mom
And I
feel
didn't-
not checking on, you know what I mean?
Oh, she's carried guilt.
She's got to carry it, but
yes.
she's got to let it go.
No, I think she died with her guilt. She's
passed.
And she lost
just in the
both of
last
her
couple
boys.
years.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
she
as
lost
a
both of her
parent,
boys.
you
Yeah.
would
Oh, yes.
Horrible.
demonize
yes.
yourself
Yes.
for not doing this
Yes.
one
Yes.
thing.
Yep.
Yes.
And that's a horrible burden
Yeah.
to put on yourself.
But I didn't have any religious structure growing up or anything.
Okay, so you weren't like
your
family wasn't a church family or
I think my mom and dad probably had sex on Sundays, and that's Dad would say, "I'll take you to McDonald's after church if you go to church to Sunday school." So we'd be like,
Go
"Okay,
get out of the house.
go to Sunday school." And so
They're
after I
home
grew
alone.
up, then I'm like, "I'll bet that's when they had sex."
fucking-
Get rid of all them kids.
Hey, that's a good use of the church, though,
Yay!
right? Send you here.
So that was the only church that I had was Sunday school type stuff. And so when he died and I was at the funeral home and I just sat there by myself and I said, please, if there's something out there, help me, stand up. And I was going in to view his body and just an overwhelming warmth just
Really?
went through me. Yes,
Yeah, I'm
yes,
seeing
and
it in ya.
yes, and so that has always, when things go wrong, that's where I find that peace when I
Yeah.
just get by myself and
There's
start
something
talking.
looking out for you.
Yes,
that loves you.
yes, there is something in this universe that has helped me. I think I went to prison for a reason. I think everything that has happened in my life has done.
For a reason.
Well, then
is
would
the-
you say you have no regrets? Because there's a difference between
No,
guilt
I
and
don't
regret.
I don't think I have any regrets.
I don't have any regrets. I have a lot of guilt.
I don't.
But
Yes.
had I not made those decisions, I
right.
wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Everything happens for a
Absolutely.
reason, right?
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, I don't regret anything.
I feel
but I have a lot
bad of
guilt.
what I put her through, but I know it made her stronger for it, just like what my mom put me through was way worse than what
Sure.
I
No,
put her
and that's
through.
what, and I can recognize that she did better with me than what my
She got
grandma
to see
did.
Bobby D.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
But also, I think you can't ever. Like, when you're a kid, your parents are idiots,
Right.
right? Your parents.
never
What
thought
the
so.
fuck are they doing?
She thought I had my shit together.
No, I thought this bitch had her shit together. I thought she knew what the fuck she was doing.
Yeah.
Until I was a grown person, I'm like, this bitch doesn't know what the fuck she was doing.
She
Been
didn't even
winging it the whole
She
time.
didn't even know anything about
Well,
math.
see, mine was the
So
opposite.
in prison.
When I was growing up, like my parents don't know shit.
Yeah.
You know, I'm smarter than my parents.
Right.
I know everything.
Yeah.
And then you have kids, and
Right.
you're like,
Right.
okay,
Yeah.
I get it now. But I don't feel like parents and their children can ever truly be on an equal playing field until the children
You have children.
kids.
Yes. No, and that's when I was like, I appreciate everything you ever did.
No,
for
you
me.
still might
like,
disagree with some of the things she
Absolutely.
did, but also she's
Absolutely.
doing her best.
But
I would
she,
hope.
Yes.
no, and she,
And
Yes.
you're doing better than
Yes.
you had done. So you were probably
Absolutely.
like, "Hey, my parents did this. I'm not
Right.
gonna do these
Yes.
things, and I'm gonna keep the things maybe they did well,
Right.
or I'm gonna inject my own thing into
Right.
it." But you came up with your own style
Yes.
that had improved over the way you were raised,
Yes.
and you've done the same, right?
Right. No, and even like when I was a drug addict, like she knew everything. I told her everything. She knew who my dealers were. She knew all the people we were hanging out with. And my friends were like, "Why would you tell your mom that?" And I'm like, "Dude, we're doing meth. People die. People die doing meth.
Yes.
If I die, my mom's gonna know where to look. Your mom is gonna be crying, going, I don't know
I
what
didn't even know he
happened."
did it.
Like my mom's
Somebody
gonna
framed
know-
my boy!
Yeah,
Yeah.
my mom's gonna be out fucking hunting these motherfuckers down.
Yeah.
Like, and it was to my own detriment most
But
of the
honestly,
time.
if you think
like-
about it,
I went
She
to her
would-
crack trailer.
well, transparency
Yeah, like
really is
she
the best
would,
way.
she
Yeah.
would throw me to the wolves. Like, but I still was honest with her, and I'm like, "This is what we're doing." Like, this is what I'm doing. Like, I need you to know
So I got
in case
pissed
some
off
bad
at her.
shit happens.
Is-
but
Pissed off at her one time. I went to the crack trailer and told them, "You better not sell her or dope.
don't let her hang out here
Yeah,
anymore.
you better not sell her dope here."
Is your love for her unconditional?
Oh,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Well, then if it's truly unconditional, then they should be able to tell you anything.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
That's the way I view that.
Yeah.
No,
Because
and that's what it-
I've been in
yes.
situations where I had conditional love.
Right.
As long as you
No,
are.
and I never
Right.
felt that it was a
Yeah.
conditional love. I knew from the time I was little that I could tell her anything, and she was still going to love me.
So
That
even
didn't-
then, even
that
when
didn't
she
mean
made
she
mistakes,
wasn't going to yell at
she-
me or you know, but she was still going to love me, and she was going to. I know this woman has got my back 100%.
But you felt like she was doing what she thought was right
Yes.
and doing what was in your best
yes,
interest.
absolutely.
Right.
Even if I didn't agree with it, like I
Sure,
knew it was,
sure.
you know, coming
And
from
that's
a
well,
place
that just
of-
goes down to different philosophies,
Right.
right? You can care. I mean, you look at our fucking country right now. There's different philosophies,
Right.
and sometimes
Oh.
you have the same facts, and you just disagree with how to navigate.
I just
those
didn't want
things.
her to ever feel like I did as a child. That
Sure.
somebody didn't care about you. You know.
So you felt
And I
love,
never,
really-
yeah, I always
Yeah.
felt loved.
Yeah.
and that's
I
a
always
sad place to
knew.
feel, though, Peg,
Right?
as a child to not feel.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
But as an adult now looking back, she had 4 kids. She had 3. I don't think she wanted that 4th one because she
Yeah.
was 5 years later. My dad got a vasectomy when she was pregnant, and as soon as she had Judy, she had a hysterectomy. So I don't really think Judy was really planned. So she wasn't happy. My mother was. I don't think my mother was.
I don't think she was
really
ever happy.
Happy with
I think
her
when-
life
yeah,
ended
she
up,
didn't-
or-
When she got pregnant with my Aunt Marcia, which is her second kid,
Yeah.
I think that guy broke her.
Yes.
what do you mean by broke?
So she ran off with him.
okay.
She
We don't
ran
even
off
know
with
who he
him,
is.
and yeah, she ran off with him and came back pregnant. And then her cousin, who was a Johnson County sheriff or something, supposedly went and found the dude, and then nobody ever heard from him.
But
again.
it just went
But
looking.
when my
Taking him to the
Aunt
train
Marcia,
station?
Yeah. Took him to
absolutely,
the
yes.
train station.
And like when my Aunt Marcia would ask growing up who her father
He was a
my
state
grandma
cop.
would tell her it's none of your goddamn business.
Yes.
Yeah.
None of your goddamn business. And so I think that guy really, I think she was really in
Yeah.
love with him, and he did some fucked up shit and broke her. And like, and even just growing up when
Right.
with my great grandparents, like, I don't think that my great grandpa was a real nice man either. Like,
Yeah.
so, but we come from a long line of whores, and so there was
That's
that.
good.
So the men weren't real happy with the women in the line.
Because
But-
we found out
Maybe it was
later
the
that
quality of the
that my
men.
grandmother, who I thought was godly, I mean, she went to church. She was there Wednesday, Sunday,
every time it was open.
and here I find out that my grandfather doubted that my uncle was his son. That he married her. It could have been another guy's. Thank God it ended up being my grandpa's, but. He was mean to my uncle. He would beat the hell out of him because he didn't believe he was
Because
his.
Nani was a whore.
Yeah.
Well,
And my mother used whore. That was all we were ever called.
Really?
Oh
Yes.
my God.
That's
Even
what-
when she would go, even when she was in her dementia, she told my cousin that these 2 whores, because my Aunt Archie
goddamn
lived with
whores.
her. My Aunt Archie lived with Mama, and then Mom lived down the street, and so those were the 2 taking care of her. And so she would tell my cousin, who's my age, that these 2 whores need to get their own fucking place and get out of my house. Talking about my mom and my Aunt Archie. These whores. Even I lived with her when Mom was in prison, and that's what. Yeah, I
But
had
you're
a
talking about
boyfriend,
somebody born in
and-
probably the 30s?
31.
Yes.
31.
Yes.
So, I
And
mean,
so
you're
it was a
talking
big
about
deal.
a very different
Very
day and
different.
age.
Yes.
But they were whores.
They were.
They were whores.
They
Yes,
were.
absolutely. My mom throwing her skirt tail up behind the bushes, I'm assuming.
She had 2 kids by 2 different dads in the early 1950s and was working at a bar when she met my grandpa.
So why the judgment?
Us judging her?
No, her judging.
Oh,
I
it was. I think it was.
It
her,
was the
oh, it was the
train.
deflection.
Yeah, that was
It
her
was the
dad called her a
deflection.
whore.
Yeah, that's all she knew.
So
think-
then
yeah.
she was past it.
Yeah.
That's how she
Yeah.
was
But there,
raised.
that's
She
an
didn't
opportunity
break
there to be close with your kids and
Even
say, hey,
when
I
I
made
was
these mistakes.
when I was a teenager and lived with her, she called me a whore, and then a year or so later, I was dating a boy. I moved out at 17 with my first boyfriend, and so we had probably been together 2 years. I was probably 19, And like we had been in a serious relationship for 2 years, and I go to my grandma's house, and this is the same woman that called me a whore when I lived with her, and she's like, "Why are you tying yourself down to this boy at 19? You should be out having fun with your friends."
A whore.
Lady, you called me a whore.
She might have contradicted herself a few times.
Oh no,
Sorry,
who's
y'all.
calling me?
Why keep it to one dick, will you?
Oh
I can't
no.
reach my purse.
That's funny.
Can you reach it?
This is fun.
Yes.
I'm glad to see you.
I'm glad to see you.
Spam risk.
So what have you been up to?
Fucking working and raising a big ass kid.
I see a few of them that come in to the store and speak to them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Ken ain't been in a while. I usually fuck with him real
Yeah.
bad.
Good.
Far.
Yeah. Yeah.
He deserves it.
That guy.
So I seen him here. It's been a couple of weeks. Him and his daughter. She's grown.
Yeah.
And they were walking, and I was behind him, and I thought, that looks like Ken. I was like, Ken, is that you? And all of a sudden he's like, oh shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I was asking Mom. I was like, did I only talk to Jason whenever I went to your work all the time?
I remember.
And she's like, I think so. And I was like, I feel like she's like, no, he used to come to the house too.
Yes.
And I was, because that's what I was like, did he come to
Yes.
JJ's for lunches?
No.
And she's
I
like,
remember.
no, but he would come to the house. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, that's what
I remember going
seeing
over there
him.
and like Dylan would be asleep and I'd show up at her house and she's like, I vacuumed the whole house and he slept the whole
He
time.
slept the whole time. I trained that kid good when he was little.
Yeah,
all right?
you could do anything.
You could.
Yeah.
That
That's
kid was on
probably
a
what he-
schedule.
Because, I'd go over
I said,
to
no,
things.
he didn't go to JJ's.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, but
with-
not-
Not with y'all. I definitely went, especially after my divorce.
Yeah.
But yeah, that and
What was that one, Steve, right there at that? They had that we got the free food.
Badass wings.
Oh,
Boar's
Boar's
Nest.
Nest. They had the
Yes,
fat
I
grilled
was there
cheese
a
fries.
lot.
Yeah.
Oh, those were so.
I was there a lot.
Dude, that
Monday night
shrimp.
was
What kind of
bug
fries?
night.
I call them the fat grilled cheese fries.
They're
They were
so good.
Ray Boy cheese fries.
Yeah,
or
with, like-
something. They had the pulled pork.
Yeah.
Oh, they were delicious.
On the fries?
All their
Yes.
stuff.
It was French
Wait,
fries.
that was over in the Harps parking lot? Wasn't it?
Yeah,
That was
it's where
like
the Thai
where
place
Thai-
is now.
Thai Spice.
Thai
Yeah.
Spice,
I
yes.
remember that.
Oh, me and Zach
Yes,
went
no,
there
it's
all the
so
time.
good. Oh, I followed one of Thai
The
Spice's
shrimp.
employees in there and cussed him one day because he doesn't know how to drive.
Why do you think it is that so many? You know that in the Target parking lot where I don't even know what's there now. It was Grubs Forever.
Oh, it's
a
the
Longhorn
steak place,
Steakhouse
yeah.
now. Why do some key businesses fail? Is it leadership?
Business
Can't be
management.
locations.
It's management.
It's got to be management.
No, and Boar's Nest is still open up in Rogers.
Yeah, it's
So
different.
I
though.
think
It's-
it was just
the
a
brothers
matter
all
of
sold. The brothers sold it because they
Because
had
it
the one.
started over on the
where
one side of
Subway
Weddington,
is.
yes.
So
and it
where
was just a
Subway
little
is
place.
was where Borsness started. Then the brothers bought that and they put all the money into like all the tables and it was awesome. And they had that location and the one in Rogers, but then they all sold out. It was two brothers and a buddy.
Okay.
Oh.
It was two brothers and a buddy, and it was like
Yeah, it got all
one
fancy
of the
when they
brothers
moved
did-
over
yeah.
to the one place, and it wasn't the little
One-
hole in the wall awesome
Yeah,
spot.
No, it was badass.
It was
Yeah.
then,
And it-
yes. I loved it then. But,
But yeah, one of the
they did
brothers
shrimp.
didn't like the other guy that was in on
Okay.
it, and they all just ended up selling. I think they're still in like hotels and stuff. Because they also had something to do with one of those hotels in Weddington for a while.
Oh yeah.
The one right
Probably
there.
Comfort Inn, yeah, Comfort Inn, because
Right
all the rest of
behind
them,
the
all the rest of them are owned by the same guy, because that's
Yeah.
who I worked for.
You still work for hotels?
No,
I was wondering.
2020 got me.
That sucks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I bet
got
it did.
I got laid off March 16th because I was event space,
Yeah.
and so my boss came in on March 16th. I came back from lunch, and he's like, "Hey, we're gonna have to lay you off for 2 weeks." And I was like, okay, I'll take the layoff. My husband had just won $8,000 at the casino. We were waiting on our tax refund, so I was like, sure, lay me off for 2 weeks. Fucking 6 months later,
Right.
they were like, well, we're gonna have to find things for you to do to earn your salary. And I was like, oh no, bitch, I worked my way up from housekeeping to this
Yeah.
job. I'm not doing that again.
Mm.
And so
I miss
I
that
left
one.
Hold on
hospitality.
now. Hold on. Don't be sneaking past this. What was the craziest shit you found house cleaning? I want to. Yeah.
Oh, drugs. Fucking the mirrors in the room.
Condoms.
The mirrors in the room would have handprints and boob prints. And
Wow.
I can't tell you how many guys would answer the door completely fucking naked.
Really?
Absolutely. Fucking horrible. You knock on the door, housekeeping, open the door up wide, just fucking butt ass naked. I need some towels.
Like a bone or
no
limp?
bone, just naked.
Like is he
Yeah,
greeting
just
you?
naked. And I'm training they were probably 18, 19-year-old girls.
Yeah.
And just lots of
Did you ever just
drugs.
kick one of them in there and pull the door
Oh,
closed? See what happened?
no.
Craig Cannon used to stay in a suite,
Oh.
and he would just open up the.
What was her name? Donna
I
Brad?
did have. There was a little old man one time. I was with Aspen's biological dad, and I was cleaning the suites. And you weren't supposed to clean rooms with people in them. But this old man had been coming to the Clarion, because I worked at the Clarion first. And so had been coming to the Clarion for years and years. He was friends with the owner. And so he sits in the room while you clean it. So I'm changing his sheets, and we're talking, and he's like...
Which is weird.
He says, "Are you married?" And he was old. He was probably in his 60s, and I was I was probably late 20s, probably 29. And so
Was he hot?
No. I mean, he was...
Well, I mean, Harrison Ford.
No, he was...
an attractive man.
No, he was
80.
he was not an old man that I would have slept with at that point. So, there are... Yeah.
I gotta know.
So he's like, "Are you married?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "Well, are you in a committed relationship?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." And he's like, "Is he jealous?" And I was like, "Well, no, but why are you asking?" And he's like, "Well, I was going to see if you would model a t-shirt for me and my friends." And me, I'm not... Okay. I'm like, "Well..."
T-shirt.
He's like, "I'd pay you $100." And I'm like, "Well, what kind of t-shirt is it?"
It's one with holes.
And he says, "That's all you'd be wearing." And I was like, "Oh, no. And so
You're not that much of a whore.
So I leave, I leave the room, and I worked with this dude,
I put on
Andre.
a fucking t-shirt.
I worked with this dude, Andre, and he was this big black dude, and he's like, "Mandy," he's like, "you need that money. He's like, you need to
The
do
fucking
this."
devil on
He's
the
like,
shoulder.
"I will come with you and make sure that this old man doesn't hurt you. Like,
that's
you
nice.
should do this." And I'm like, "Andre, I am not doing that." He's like, "Mandy, you need to
500, not 100.
Yeah.
And I never cleaned that man's room again. Like, it was so
you
yeah,
didn't
like
do it.
it was. I didn't.
Man,
I didn't.
what a
I was
lame
very-
story. I was
No,
really hoping
I know.
for some
I
guns
know.
and shit.
That-
And all like
You couldn't sleep with the guests. That
No,
was
black dude goes in with you. He's there. You do it, and then they start getting handsy, and he starts getting the machetes out. He's fucking killing people, kicking them out the window.
Not to say that
couldn't
shit
do
didn't
it.
happen at Bobby Sox, but it's
No,
But
Bobby
when we
Sox
make the
was-
movie,
yes.
that's how it is.
Okay.
All right, just telling you, we're gonna make some
Yes.
changes.
All right.
Some,
All right.
Production changes.
But yeah. So no, it was crazy shit. What else? What the dude?
man. I remember one time whenever you worked now you were at the new hotel that was on it was new then.
Hilton Garden Inn.
Yes, and that's when you were like working there, and we were able to use when we went on vacation one time. We like used your
I
deal.
got
Oh,
you
that
a
was the
discount.
shit.
Yes.
And like all I had to say is like whenever I'd check in, I was like, "Oh yeah, I work for Mandy." It was Naples at the time. I work for Mandy Naples. Oh yeah, she's right. Yeah, she's kind of hard on me, but I had to like act like I worked for her. You know,
Oh,
yeah. I mean, she's fucking strict. But, I mean, when we get the shit done.
She's a bitch.
Yeah.
No. I worked my way up from housekeeping to like. Actually, I went through the Christmas season into the restaurant, just because they needed extra people, and then I got pregnant with Aspen, my daughter. And so I was like, "Oh, I don't want to clean rooms anymore. Let me move to the restaurant. It's way easier on you when you're knocked up."
So she's 15. Does she have like her driver's permit?
No,
Not yet.
not yet.
She doesn't even want to drive, does she?
Does your
She's
son
got
drive?
the no.
No. So you don't have
He's
a driving
completely-
one
no,
yet.
he's
Oh,
completely
that's
scared of driving.
When do you? Because my son, Max has got his driver's permit. He wants to be able to.
Oh no, and
He
that's
wants
what
that
Aspen
independence.
wants to get hers in the next month or so. Like
That's
I'm
good
sure
that she wants to.
I'm sure we'll be scheduling something with Nene to
But
go
have y'all
get-
already gone
Oh
through,
yeah.
like- okay,
She's
well, that's what I
got
was
the
asking
app.
about.
She does the like
There's a lot of
testing
kids that
stuff.
don't even
and
want to fucking do
Yeah.
it.
So
Yeah.
are you or your
She's-
husband doing the
no-
driving lessons?
Well, we haven't done any driving lessons yet.
Oh, so
No.
you're not.
Fuck
You
Yeah,
just.
me.
Oh shit.
And I'm scared too because this little bitch, when she's in the car with me, like the shit, she's like honk at him. I'm like, you're never getting
You
a
need to
driver's
start riding
license.
This all comes from you.
gotta
Yes,
start
I'm
driving
like,
with her.
oh my god, like yeah, we'll be driving.
You've got
she's,
to.
Yeah.
See, I didn't teach her when I was in prison. Her dad
my
did.
husband is the much more patient parent.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
He'll be the one to take her, I'm sure. Because I yell at her.
Tell us about your husband. Let's hear about this
Oh,
man.
he's amazing.
Is he?
He's amazing.
Good
like
dude.
I went through a whole lot of shit to get to this motherfucker, and like I met him at the bar. Like,
great place to start a
I
family.
mean, no, listen, like
That's where we're all at.
I was hanging out.
My cousin used to say she got him in the pool room because they had bigger problems.
I was hanging out with his cousin, and that's what she saw me struggling with dudes, and she's like, "You need to meet my cousin."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Well, where's he at?" She's like, "Hold on."
Nice.
And so I'm standing there smoking a cigarette, and this dude comes over and just jerks me out onto the dance floor, and like we're dancing, and he's like, "Well, are you looking for anything serious?" And I was like, "No, not at all." Like at that point, I had told her,
He
I
was
was
like, "That's fine. We can just
yeah,
talk."
I told her, I
You're
was
a
like,
whore, come on.
I was like, I'm just focusing on me and the kids. Like, I don't want another dude. Like, fuck these dudes.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he's like, well, what would happen if it fell in your lap? And I'm like, well, I'm not gonna turn it away if it shows up. Like, I'm game for whatever. I'm not looking for it though. And so, like, the first night I took him home, he ended up leaving the next morning, and like. He tells me my friend is here to get me, and I'm like, okay, because I take him home, everybody's gone. I sent all my kids home because I knew I was taking this dude home.
You're
We'd
right.
been talking for a couple months. I'm like, I'm taking this dude home tonight. So I had a little black guy that he was homeless.
Easy now.
He was staying on my couch.
Belvedere
No,
NFL.
nothing, no horror thing going on there. Just I felt bad for him. He didn't have anywhere to stay, so he was staying on my couch. I like taking strays.
Yeah.
You're a straight catcher.
I'm a straight
All right.
catcher.
All right.
So he was staying there, and then I had my two kids. Then I have an adopted older daughter that I don't know. At that point, she was
7
probably
cats, 2 dogs.
20. She was in her
texting him.
20s. Well, I sent all of them away. I was like, I'm bringing this guy home tonight. Y'all need to get the fuck out.
So you cleared the fucking room.
So I bring him home. We do
Mama
the damn
raised
thing.
you right.
Yeah, apparently they're fucking doing a freak off.
I know when
We
there's
do the
legit.
damn thing, and the next
We do
morning
the
we
damn
head
thing.
back to my son and his grandma, his other grandma. I hear grandma saying, Mandy, and I'm like, oh fuck, we're sprawled out
All over
naked.
the place.
And so I get up, throw my robe on, I go get Dylan, and he's 9 or 10 at this point. And so I go out, I'm talking to the grandma, I get her out of there. Well, then
Jesus
I look and Dylan is in my room talking to
to
Brandon as he's laying there naked. And so he comes out and he's like, oh, my friend is here, I have to leave. And I'm like, okay, bye. He left with no intention to ever call me back. He was like, I was leaving.
That was
He
wild.
walked. He left and called
Damn,
his
were
buddy.
you not any good? What's the matter?
He came back, didn't
You're
he?
not doing kegels?
He came back, didn't he?
Yes,
No.
he did.
So, yeah, he leaves and calls his buddy. He's like, I don't know where I'm at. He's like, I gotta walk to a street sign. So, yeah, he goes and yeah, he came back. Like, we're married. We've been together 15 years now.
Obviously.
So, yeah, but
But he has a
that's,
good
How long
guy.
y'all been married?
but we've been married, what is this, 8 years? 2017 is when we got married. So we got together in 2012. So Aspen was 2 when we got together, and Dylan was 9.
Nice.
And so, like, that's the
And
only...
he has stepped up
he's
wonderfully.
He's
Nice.
amazing. Like,
That's a beautiful thing to hear.
She doesn't have
Somebody
a good...
fucking
She
has.
brought
She
him
doesn't
down
have a
to
good
that.
dad. Like, she doesn't have a good dad, but she
Yeah.
does now. So, like...
Well, that's
it's-
beautiful.
yeah.
I'm glad that's
Super
working
cool.
out, man. That's
That's
really
when
cool.
she brought him down to the house.
No, just
to
the first time
meet
he came
me.
over to meet the kids, and she calls while he's there. And she's like, well, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, Brandon's here meeting the kids. She's like, I thought you were just going to focus on you and the kids. I was like, well, I really kind of like
dragging
this
another
guy.
guy.
And yeah, so she did not like him.
No.
And so then I take him
Where'd you
down to
meet
meet
him at the
her.
bar? Oh, God. He's got to be good. Damn.
Solid,
Can't
solid
wait to meet
folks.
this motherfucker.
What a whole solid
So then
folks.
he's sitting there. They come in with, I was watching Jersey Shore.
Yeah, she's watching Jersey
God
Shore when
damn.
we walk in.
You don't have a right to judge anybody.
Exactly.
After saying that shit.
And I told her
wasn't
that
good.
too. I was like, are you serious, Mom? That's what you're watching?
Yeah.
It was the drugs.
Always
So-
the
There were
drugs.
no drugs
So
then.
she's introducing him, and and I was like, he's like, you work at the lab, and I was like, yeah, like what? And he's like, my stepmom works there, and I was like, oh God, what bitch is it? I figured it was going to be somebody I hated. And he's like, I was like, what's her name? And he's like, Sandy Camp. And I was like, oh my God, that's my best friend.
Best friend.
Yes,
I didn't
Sandy
even
Camp
notice.
is his
I didn't
Yes,
know
that
that.
was my husband's stepmom growing up.
Yes.
Fuck, that's scary.
Yes. I was like, okay, so as soon as they left, then I called Sandy and I was like, what the fuck is this brand?
No. So we leave her
Let 'em
house
out.
in West Fork. By the time I pass the Greenland exit coming up the hill, about to top into Fayetteville, this bitch calls me and she's like, I just got off the phone with Sandy Camp and he is amazing and I'm so glad you're with him and this is so good. She says he's a good one.
What a small world.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That's what I
Just-
say. The older you get, the
I
more
miss
you
Sandy.
No, and then
realize
even he and
how
I,
much
like,
smaller.
comparing our lives, like there's so many times that our circles
Yeah.
intersected
Yeah.
and we didn't even know it. So
I don't know how many hundreds.
But had
of
you
dollars
met then?
Sandy
Right.
saved me
no, it
going
wouldn't
down
have
to
been.
Pizza Hut every night. Man,
Oh,
she had that-
Kathy.
Kathy, yes.
Kathy.
She's amazing. We go down there. Like,
She still couldn't believe that David Thornton, that's the only reason why
Kathy
he went
still
to
works
lunch
at
with
Pizza
her.
Hut.
that's
Yes.
it. He texted me the other day.
Is he still around?
He's still alive. Him and Rachel both.
Fucker. He's such an asshole. He still got his morphine patch
I
on.
don't know.
I think it'd be nice to let's wind this down so we can have some off camera talk.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
get it off the.
Let's-
But I
Yeah.
want to close out with what do you miss the most about the era of your childhood, and like compared to today?
Oh.
Like a
it
lot,
was-
because I mean,
Yes, it was.
not saying you're old, but you're older than us.
Yeah, I'm
so you
65.
remember
I'm not ashamed to say I'm 65.
that,
It was not ashamed at all. It was a totally different world back then.
Yeah,
It
I mean
was-
it's a totally different world from
yes.
when we were
Yes,
kids. So I
yeah,
can't imagine.
Yes,
how-
so and I'm still stuck like in
in the middle, kind of.
Yeah, I'm
I
I'm
stopped in
not
2000.
old, but I'm not young, but I'm not. I don't have their thoughts, the old timer thoughts.
Right.
That I'm more in tune with. So the beach is the only thing I missed about California, other than my friends that are still there.
It was such a simpler time.
Yes, much
simplicity.
simpler. It
Yeah.
wasn't. It was. Yes, you didn't have all of the internet, all of the outside noise.
Yeah.
We had to make our own.
And you were
our
forced,
imagination.
regardless of what you were, you had to force yourself to
Yes.
become part of society.
Yes. Yeah,
there
it
were
wasn't.
there was a lot more personality back then. I feel
Right.
like too. Now
And you
everybody's
went
just
out.
homogenous.
Yes, you
But
went out to people and
Right.
got in friend
there were
groups.
groups.
Right.
There were different.
Yes,
cliques and
everybody was
circles and-
outside.
Yeah,
we rode
yeah.
bikes. We played.
Yeah, I feel
Where
like
I
we're
think
becoming
kids now,
just a-
you drive through neighborhoods, you don't see kids outside playing in the street.
Well,
No, even
know,
when
yeah,
Aspen
right
was
now.
little, we lived in a subdivision over in Farmington. And like she was 3-4 years old and I would let her, because we lived at the back of a subdivision where it wasn't like a through street. If you were back there, you knew somebody. And like I let her just run the damn streets.
She did,
And like
Oh, absolutely.
the parents in that subdivision looked at me like I was the worst fucking
Oh, I get
mom
that all the
ever.
time.
Like I'm like, no, she's fucking feral as fuck. She's
She would
running.
just walk up into
Like,
the door.
yeah, like-
But think of this: how many kids are protected like this until they're 18,
Oh
and
my
then they're
God.
like, "Oh my god,
I don't know what to
There's
do.
a whole world out there," and
They're
then they
fucked
just
after that.
Yeah.
fucking collapse.
No.
Right? I'd rather my kids know from day one.
Yes.
Be transparent.
Yeah.
Here's what it is. Here's
Yes.
the truth.
Yes, this
And
is what
then-
I know.
But if you give kids facts and arm them with the truth,
Right.
then take drugs or alcohol for instance. Like, yeah, it can give you a good time, but look how many lives are wrecked.
Right.
Look how
Exactly.
much money it
Yes.
costs.
Yes.
Look at how many families are destroyed
Right.
by these things.
Right.
Versus glorifying it and saying, "Man,
Right. Yeah.
booze is cool." It's
Yes.
like I felt like my parents' generation, like it was like alcohol was a party gate.
Right.
Like the only way to unlock the party was
And
through
drunk
alcohol, right?
driving, everybody drunk drove.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
there was no second thought about it.
Have you ever seen that
getting
video
drunk
where
and
the
driving around?
where when they they officially had outlawed drunk driving
Yeah.
and they were interviewing
Oh,
people
like
about it,
like,
and this old boy's like, "So you're saying now I can't go to work all day long, put in a hard day's work, and have a beer on the way home? I can't do that anymore?" I'm like,
That's some bullshit.
"That's some bullshit." It's all about
Well,
tolerance.
that was her dad. That's how he said how he learned to drive. is because his dad would go over to Lincoln and get drunk at the
And he'd have to go
Shamrock,
pick him up.
and then he would
That's
drive him
how
home
I
because
would
they would
have-
be out
Or
in
he'd
the
drive
parking
home,
lot.
That's how
yeah.
I learned to drive.
Yeah.
Is because my
Yeah.
dad, neither one of us had a driver's license, and I was sober, so
Yeah.
he figured I was the
That's
better
the lesser
bet.
of two evils.
Yeah.
Daryl always said
I
it was
drove-
lesser to pay her ticket
When,
than his.
yeah, when she was in
Absolutely.
prison, like I was
God,
only
oh,
15
Daryl.
years old, and I would drive all the way to the prison in South Arkansas, like on the interstate, no driver's
He told
license.
you just keep it between the ditches.
Standard transmission.
mustard and
like,
mayonnaise.
yes. Yeah. If I sobered him up, that was when he made me quit driving.
Yeah.
What?
That was whenever I had to quit driving. Is whenever he got
sobered
so.
up.
If I did
Scared him.
something that sobered him up, okay, pull over.
All right.
That's the
So-
deal breaker there.
Yep.
What do you miss the most about your childhood?
Oh, the simplicity, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just the technology is a great tool,
Absolutely.
but it has ruined the fucking world.
100%.
So yeah.
Well, but also like if you're talking about like social media and the impetus for kids to just be on it all the time.
no, I'm
that's a
talking about not
parenting
even
problem.
not even social media, just TV, just all of it. Like when we were kids, like that was something that you did when you couldn't go outside,
Yeah.
like gaming,
Right,
TV.
but don't you think
like it was something you did when you
it's a
couldn't go
fail in
outside?
parenting though? 'Cause those things have
it
always
is,
existed.
but it's hard
Well, yeah,
as
but
a
it's been more. It's
yes,
been prevalent,
it's
yeah.
harder as a parent as you go along to keep your kids
The more shit.
grounded.
Yeah.
yeah, like away
More
from
shit
it.
you got
I'm
And,
talking
yeah.
more like the formative eras when they're young. Like
Right.
if you're just giving a 2-year-old a tablet for 6 hours a
Right,
day,
no.
I think you're a terrible fucking
Yes,
human being. And
absolutely.
you're ruining that kid.
Absolutely.
And I feel like there's no discipline or restraint anymore. We just do whatever the fuck we want,
Right.
whenever we want. There's no consequences for it. And parents, and I get it, you're busy.
The parents are scared of their kids nowadays.
Exactly. It's come so far.
Yes.
And hey, what a great time and place we're in. We're in the Rome before it fell. Like
Right.
we're that
Yeah.
rich where we can just fuck around.
Yeah.
But it makes me really sad to see parents in Walmart pushing their kids, and these kids are just on a tablet the whole time.
Yes.
And,
no, and those
or
babies,
they're in the car.
they
I'll
know
pull
how
up
to
next to somebody,
operate,
and all
yeah.
the kids
Yeah.
are on tablets, and
Yes.
it's like the dopamine hits
Yeah.
that they're getting from these rapid videos. I mean, they're creating ADHD. They're creating kids that can't concentrate or focus on anything.
Oh, I see them
And
all
they're
the
not social.
time, and then they get mad. It's hot, ah! You know,
They are
parent-
blowing shit
Yeah.
up down there tonight. Y'all hear
I
this?
hear
Yes.
They are fucking going to town. We might have to
They
go
was
down there and
cutting
join
them
the
some
party,
wood.
dude.
They're splitting some wood.
Well,
up.
all right. Well, let's wrap this up so we can have some off-camera talk and hang out.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies, thank you so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
We got some
for having us,
Felonious
yes.
merch on.
Woo, woo.
Go check it out.
Yes.
I don't even know. Just go to UrbanDictionary.com. She's got all kinds of great stuff. Had a fantastic time, ladies.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. Me too.
So you'll do once a month with Nicole, and then we'll do once a week on the other two. Just to,
Whatever.
He can talk.
Whatever
That's
talks.
what everybody was asking me. Well, what are you guys going to talk about? And I said, shit. Just talk shit. That's
Yeah.
all I'm going to do.
that's all
Hey.
we do. is
That's
talk
good.